Wrap it up, nerd. Alright, I don't know what this is called, and I don't care. 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to the Chilled Out Trek Show. We're here to just talk about Trek and look at Big's wonderful ventilation.
I'm not chilled at all right now.
We had to go. Well, as you found out from the chat, yes, Big was hastily preparing a chicken. It was quite. We should have streamed that, Big. We should have just shown it off. We could have.
I mean, it's that's a little too far behind the curtain for where we're at as a show. I feel, but someday.
Big, I showed you my chicken. Please respond.
And got Stars with us, and Walt, thank you for stepping in and joining us this evening. How the devil are you guys this week? How are we for our chilled out? Let's just talk about nonsense and Trek show.
This isn't alcohol, but for my general mood, I want you to imagine that it is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty good, thanks. It's Mother's Day here in Blighty. So everyone out there who's been able to spend time with their loved ones or remember their loved ones, hope they're having a good day. Had a good day.
No, we've had my in-laws have been over, so we've had 2 sets of mothers in the house, and we cooked a nice. We had a 4-course dinner. Okay, we had a 4-course dinner. Not intentionally. Well, started off, we had a few little, Lidl do these nice little sort of Greek bits, little vine leaves and butter beans. We had a few of those, little start. My wife just got them out. Just went, here we go, we're having a start. I'm like, okay. And then we had lamb, a nice piece of lamb, which I used the fat for gravy. Oh, yes. And then Louisa's like, my wife's just like, here's loads of cheese, let's eat some cheese. And then she brought out bloody tiramisu. So we've had a 4-course dinner. And how the other half live.
Idle, cheese is not a course of dinner.
Of course it is. It absolutely is. You have the cheese course. Come on, Walt, back me up.
No.
Yeah. I'll allow it. Yeah, I'll go with that.
No, I would say.
I mean, if you can count Greek food as a course, then
well, it was kind of Greekish themed. It was like a
different thing. A starter is a course, but a side is not a course. Like, if I looked at a restaurant and they had a main course that was just labeled cheese, I'd be like, you're fucking having a laugh.
Yeah, but it's not the main course, is it? It's usually it's where you have those 12-course menus, where there's coffee and nuts, there's cheese, there's mains, there's all sorts of, there's 3 different types of desserts. It's that kind of posh shit.
If I break up a pizza and some garlic bread with a cookie, is the cookie a 3rd course? It is not.
Listen, we're not talking about deconstructed pizza here, which I'm surprised I haven't seen that on MasterChef.
It sounds like you're just watering down your courses so you can add more to them, more courses, and just charge more of a price, right?
Well, I wasn't charging them money. If anything, it cost me.
Where's your after dinner mint course? Your
Where's your $4.99? Now I will allow you to have some water course.
Hey, according to Nestle, it's not a basic human right, so yeah, that's reasonable. Guys, how did you celebrate Mother's Day? Walt, go on. You're our guest of the week. How did you treat your mother accordingly? Did she get flowers, chocolates?
My mother's no longer with us, I'm afraid. So, but I did this one. Obviously, got to spend a day with my wife and my children, and so they're celebrating their Mother's Day. Out at Belton House, just near Grantham. We were there today. So nothing too exciting, but a bit of a picnic and view of the grounds.
That sounds actually quite exciting. I love a picnic.
Never had your Discord handle been more accurate, Idol.
Okay, yeah.
If you count hula hoops as a course, then it was a 4-course picnic.
See, that's a proper course. Hula hoops are fucking
but not different types of cheese. Like, we had Port Salut and Comté. Hula hoop one. Did you have different flavours of hula hoops? Oh, we're gonna have the salt and vinegar ones with this kind of like.
Yeah.
Spot the Londoner, everyone. Come on.
Hula hoops are basically their own food group if you treat them right.
The staples.
Mother's Day in the U.S. is still a couple months away, so it's a little different. But as it happens, my mother's birthday was a couple of days ago, so I mean it kind of works out that way. Didn't do too much. They came over and visited while I was mostly at work, but I came home for lunch. Just to visit with them for a minute. And
how many courses for lunch?
Okay. So there were 2 courses. There was a sandwich course and a chips course. So, but we ate them at the same time.
What?
So it's but there was a beverage service also. We had the highest quality domestic tap water available to us at the time.
Cool.
So
3-course meal. They're well treated.
Yeah.
Sorry, I apologise while I was just slowly dying there. Oh.
That's so good. Yeah, I basically celebrated Mother's Day a few weeks ago because I bought my mum a new super fancy sound system so that she can annoy all of her music and play all of her CDs. Like, a few months ago, we went uptown and there's a sister company to HMV called, I think they're called Zop, which is a magic device.
Yes.
Yeah, and they do FOP. It might have been FOP.
I remember FOP. I used to go to that in Manchester when I was at university.
Biggest smiling at the Britishness of this name.
I am. I admit I am.
They're one of the few places you can go to where they'll still sell new vinyl. And I got this really nice Doors set that was new vinyl, but then 3 CDs that was a ton of like recording session material that had never been released before. And then I was like, oh, wait, shit, you have a vinyl player, but all the CD players you buy are crap and die after two months because you always get them secondhand. So I was like, fuck it, I'm getting you a proper CD player, and I have regretted it ever since. So that made up for me not actually being Mother's Day itself. So I got.
Have you guys reversed like roles? Because usually I remember being young and me having like my huge speakers in my bedroom and my mum shouting at the door going, "Turn it down!" Is it different in your house? Or is it you? Like,
it's a bit different. Yeah.
9 o'clock in the evening. It's like I'm trying to get an early night.
Honestly, the last few days I've had such a splitting like pressure headache that it's been the way it's been going.
Oh dear. God, I think everyone's suffering. The same reason we had to cancel last night is because I think I'm still. You can probably tell I'm still bloody fighting off this freaking COVID cough, and I think Stasi had issues and everything else, and it's just like everything conspires against you, and just. So we're doing it on Sunday instead. But thank you everyone in chat for joining us. Please tell us what you had for dinner and how many courses there were. How many courses you thought there were?
No one. Their courses. I'm disappointed in our chat with this.
So as for drinking, I've got work tomorrow, so I'm taking it easy. I'm actually going back to work for the first time in 2 weeks after like bloody skiving off with whatever I had. But Planet Pale Blue Brewdog, just an easy little 4.5er, just to ease myself back into the world of the living.
How many courses is your liquid meal?
It's going to be. This is the 3rd course. So that's course 2. I had something with dinner.
Yeah, see, me, I went the complete opposite direction. I think this is the highest ABV Scotch that I have in the cabinet. I don't know.
Ardbeg.
It's it's Ardbeg Ugadal. Yes, and 54.2% alcohol by volume.
Fantastic.
So that is smoking hot.
It's hour 1 in the show, and we'll have Lucid Big.
That's basically a Molotov cocktail without the actual light.
Well, I
the flame.
spent like $75 on it, so that's an expensive way to do that. But it's it is actually my favorite whiskey in the world, so I brought out the good stuff for you guys.
Nice. So we've got in chat. Cranky had a Percy Pig cake, chocolate eclair, 2 scones with clot cream and jam, and a millionaire's shortbread. That is all the cakes. That's a healthy diet you've got going there.
I don't know. I feel like you could have fit a few Cadburys in there as well.
Were you at a party?
Oh, that does sound like a party. The Percy Pig cake leads me to believe that it was probably a party. Probably a children's party? Yeah, probably a children's party.
Yeah,
I don't know many people above the age of 16 who have a pig party.
I don't know.
Unless they are
family shindig. There you go. A shindig. Now that sounds like there was dancing. When was the last? Okay, here we go. Here's a question for you. When was the last time you danced publicly in front of people who saw you dance?
My sister's wedding.
Ooh.
And I was probably the only person sober at the time, which somehow made it less mortifying. But it kind of meant a lot to her that I bothered to do it because I don't dance.
Is it a case of no one's gonna watch me remember me doing this? Yeah.
Everyone's seeing double anyway. They'll just think I'm moving. Yeah, that's the last time I don't dance. I don't do it.
Mine would have been before lockdown, you know.
I suppose.
You were at the rave with the glow sticks, like.
Let me see. The last time that I would have done anything that approached dancing would be that, and this is maybe not something that's known outside of the U.S. and it's something that has been discontinued now. But in the school system, once upon a time, square dancing.
Oh wow!
As in, like swing your partners. Yeah, that was actually taught in physical education classes. It was taught in gym classes.
Wow.
Yes. And that would have been the last time that I danced because I did not dance at my own wedding. There was no dancing at our wedding. That was just a choice that we made, and because neither of us wanted to do any dancing.
I got forced into it.
So
they said, you got to do the first dance. You got to do the first dance. Push my wife and me into the dance floor. I'm like, we can't dance. This is physically impossible for us to do this. And I was like, no, it's traditional. Fuck traditional.
And you're going like, come on, everyone else, come on.
Yeah.
Luckily, I married someone who is just as allergic to public spectacle, maybe more so even than I am. So we were a united front on that. It's like, look, we're going to go to the reception. There's going to be food. There's going to be cake. You guys do what you want to do. And we'll just get on to the honeymoon as fast as possible after that.
So,
when was the last time you danced?
So, when I was at a festival, I was at the Latitude Festival, which is quite local to me, and they had a few sort of like indie acts on, like sort of Mumford & Sons and things like that, and there's some sort of middle of the road kind of stuff. We always go because it's close by, and go with a few mates. We camp and it's quite fun. I think this last one I went to was in 2017, 2016, something like that. So we go up and I had a few drinks, and this is like Saturday night, so I'm drinking all day, which you do at a festival. You're just constantly going on all day, and then I'm watching Mumford & Sons, and they play the two songs that I know, and I was just like, brilliant, I've seen all I need to see from this. I'm going to go off and wander about, because there's always loads of other stuff going on. That's pretty much. I know these two songs, I've sung them, they were great.
You lines of amphetamines in the tent next door, it was all great.
There was no drugs. There was no drugs. Not this year, anyway. So I wander across and I find one of these tents. I've done this before. I go for one of our looking at your head in tents. There are people reading a script, and they hand you a script, and like you just got to read along. Or you go into another one, they're all doing the twist and things like that. And you're like, okay, this is strange. But I walk into another one, and they're playing all this Russian ska music. And I'm wandering around, and everyone's bouncing about.
As you do.
As you do. And I'm just like, this is tense, fantastic. So I go in, have a little drink, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to bounce about to all this Russian ska music. And I'm like, this is brilliant. And then I hear my mates is like, are you still watching Mumford & Sons? And they're like, yeah, fuck that shit. Come down to this tent right now. This is much better. And they all come down, we end up bouncing about in there. And I go up to the DJ, because I really like the music, because I quite like that kind of Eastern European kind of like poker kind of like sort of modern stuff. And I said, so who's this guy? Who's this? And he points at the screen, and it's all in kind of Russian, and he looks at me, he's nosh, and I'm like, brilliant, I'll remember that. I was like, cheers mate, and I go off and bounce about again. So
was that Klingon?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I mean, you know why it's okay to leave a Mumford & Sons concert, right?
Go on.
Because they'll wait for you.
Is that one of their songs?
One of the songs, yeah.
It is. Yeah.
I had to check. I know the first.
Well,
one
yeah.
was
See,
about it.
they played your two up at front. They did you the tremendous solid of
did.
playing the only two songs that you knew right at the very beginning. So yeah.
They played The Cave and Little Lion Man, which was, I like them. Good songs.
Thank you, Cranky. I'm glad somebody got my awful dad joke.
Because we're full of them here.
Got it. I was just like, wow, okay, we're already in that.
No, because that went over like a wet fart in the room. So I just thank you.
So yeah,
And we're off.
And we're off. Yes, the show has started.
The bar has been lowered.
So,
Wonderful. Thank you, Big.
Stars, you've not caught up on Picard yet, have you?
I have not.
Oh, you hurry up! I was kind of hoping this is going to be up. I need to do we need to do a spoiler cast at some point.
Brody has set a hard and fast rule. I cannot watch Picard season 1 and 2 with him until we have finished Voyager, and Voyager we're still on season 5, so I still have to wait for that.
When you do, I reckon by the time you do, well, the series will probably be over. Or probably Strange New World to be over. We can have a spoiler cast. I reckon we need to do that. Sit down and actually talk about it, because there is so much in this second season of Picard that I just so want to talk about on stream, but no one's watched it yet. I'm just like, oh, come on.
So I have to ask you guys a question, because I'm on the outside looking in, right? And I'm like, okay, yeah. Season 1 of Picard, I feel like people were genuinely pretty at it right up until the very end, and then it kind of created, right? People kind of look very kind of like negatively. People seem absurdly hyped about Picard with every episode that comes out, and I'm wondering if this is a case of do you get the feeling that it can fail at the end, or do you feel like it's just a case of it just has to stick
yeah, they're setting up a lot to pay off. I kind of hope they stick the landing this time. Like there's we got. I think this is a bit better than the start of season 1 because it's paying more attention to Star Trek as opposed to Picard, if you know what I mean. Like, I think a lot of, understandably, the show's called Picard, so it's going to be Picard focused, but there seems to be a bit more branching out into what actual, more references, as it were, and being a bit more open-minded. And that probably comes from, like, the change in showrunner. Like, we're not being run by Michael Chabon anymore. It is Terry Matalas and Dave Blass. You know, they're now the showrunners for the series, so it's, like, completely changed hands. And it kind of does feel it. You know, there's a lot, there is that definite feeling about it, without spoiling.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the season 2 is not as averse to overt fan service as season 1 was, which, I mean, when handled well, I think that's totally fine. It's like people are coming back to characters that they love, and they would like to see that history paid some respect to. I mean, as long as you're telling a story that's carrying forward. But as you say, Stars, it's like can they still screw this up? Absolutely, because they are telling this story the same way that they told the story in season 1, and the same way that it seems like modern Trek is designed to do now, where it's just cliffhanger to cliffhanger to cliffhanger to cliffhanger. Don't explain anything. Don't pay off anything until all the way at the end. So you are setting up this house of cards, and it can still tumble at any point.
Do you know what? A format that I really like, and it's a shame because it's associated with a series that didn't end well at all, but the Game of Thrones kind of style, which was build up, 10 episode series, build up, conclude on episode 9, then spend the last episode wrapping everything up. I really like that. They sort of had the big payoff on the 9th episode, and they actually had the 10th episode to give it time to breathe, to sort of go through the interactions, to follow up stuff. I really like that. And I wish, because there's a few series I've watched, and I can't think of any to name, where you get to that last episode, it resolves, and then it's credits, and then you're just like...
How about Star Trek Voyager?
Yeah, exactly. The precise example. They go home, and they're home. Hurrah! Like... But what next?
No, they don't even get home. It's just a picture of the Voyager in orbit.
Yeah.
Series end.
Never mind anything about
anyway,
Marquis,
I'm not bitter.
Never mind anything about Torres, or, her integrating with her parents. Never mind Tom Paris and his commission and his father. No.
Yeah, we never did get Harry get promoted, did we?
Yeah, no, Darren, yeah. We still don't know.
That's in Voyager. He got home and he got demoted.
You're a cadet, yeah.
That file, the notes anyway put on his file about like the sexual impy, that got him demoted when he got back home. Little did you know.
Considering you're not actually the real Harry Kim, we can't promote you. In fact, you'll have to start again because you are in fact an alternate Harry Kim. Sorry.
Hey, you know what? That's the thing. O'Brien got around that because the commissioned officer. For Harry, that's a no.
Yeah. Looping back, let's talk about Picard season 1. No spoilers there. So you have watched season 1, haven't you?
What? No. Yes,
you still watched season 1? Oh my god.
Oh, I'm kidding.
Oh, good. Good. We can at least talk about season 1. I think a lot of the problems with season 1. There were a few moments in season 1 that kind of made me eye roll a little bit, and a lot of that involved Narek and his sister. That whole sort of situation, the kind of what they did with Hugh and things that didn't pay off. Elnor in general was just a bit of a letdown. There was the best things that came out of Picard were kind of a little bit of the Romulan mythos, like the Zat Vash was cool, although whether you need a more secret Romulan organisation than the secret Romulan organisation was a bit of a they didn't think about the ending. I think they tried to mix too many things up with the synthetic storyline, with the Romulan storyline, with the Borg storyline, all sort of meshed together. The one awesome scene of the Borg cube coming out of the transport conduit, only then to just crash into the planet. You didn't even see the crash. It was just this really awesome moment where Seven hijacks a freaking Borg cube to go to the planet to rescue Picard. That could have been an absolutely epic moment, but it kind of wasn't. Kind of got pulled down by a load of flowers. It was a bit weird.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the few genuinely weird TOS things that you get in modern. I don't mind those in principle, but the function that they served was functionally useless. Yes.
Yeah, my feeling with season 1 is that it kind of the start of the season was very sort of slow, and there seemed to be a lot of build up. It seemed to take long time for it to sort of gain the impetus, and so by the time we got to Nepenthe, it was already we're running out of series, and we've got so much more to do. So it felt like they had to just try and cram a lot of stuff in, and not all of it sort of really worked well. And I think there was sort of very much a lot of that sort of time spent exploring Darge and all that kind of stuff, and Soji, and it just seemed to just take all that time. We didn't get development with Rios and Girardi.
Red alarm.
Thank you, Cast Tigers 22 for following.
So
what you're saying kind of reminds me of because I have a friend who's big into animation. I think I might have mentioned this before. He was talking to me about a series. I think it was called The Dragon Prince. And he was basically saying that it's a victim of the 13 episode structure where everything has to be 13 episodes. So you fit that plot or you don't get made. And with Picard, it definitely felt like people like to look at these, I suppose they call prestige TV series, and they're like, oh, well, it's a movie spread out over 6 or 8 hours, right? And that's kind of true. But I also feel like it's, in some ways, it's a compressed series shoved into 13 episodes when normally you'd want maybe 20. And I feel like you could easily have gotten another 7 episodes out of Picard by just having a load of, have just 10 minutes of people talking and explaining things and going, hey, how do you feel about this big thing that happened to you? Which is something that they also didn't do in Classic Trek, but in Classic Trek, they didn't make it feel quite so like every big event in someone's life happened in 5 minutes. It was more spread out. Whereas in Picard, it felt like everyone's life had a monumental change every other episode. And I'm not usually opposed to that, but with Picard especially, I felt that it was a little bit too... It was too deeply compressed. You could have easily put that into another season and just been like, we need more episodes to tell the story that they wanted to tell. Instead, a lot of stuff hit the cutting room floor, and it really shows.
There was a lot of sort of you talk about the slow start to the series, and I kind of like that. Those first 2 episodes of Picard are really good. I love that kind of sort of slow open into revealing the small facts about the things that have happened over Picard's life in the last sort of 20, 30 years that we've missed. Him being promoted to Admiral and leading the Romulan re-evacuation request, and and then resigning and all that, and that kind of build up, and his sort of bitterness towards his old role was never. I felt like that never got resolved. All the build up that sort of built up him, going back to the chateau and everything like that. And it kind of ended on a different note to where it started. It didn't resolve anything with Picard himself, in the struggles he had with his relationship with Starfleet and what he did for the Romulans. In fact, the Romulans didn't factor into anything about it in the end. So I kind of wonder whether they structured the first season the first part of the season, and by the time they got to the end, they were just like, oh shit, yeah, we started this somewhere else, didn't we? It's kind of like a bit of a fever dream, isn't it? You know, you got a train of thought, and you're just like some of my speeches, I start one way and then I end up somewhere completely different. Like it's someone's mad conversation, isn't it?
Well, it's like they set up and paid off a resolution to something that we never saw and never really could relate to. It's like we never saw any of it. It's like, I mean, the best that was out there was the short trek, I guess.
Children of
Mars, which was nothing really. That was
yeah, and
it's two guys
other than that,
over a Peter Gabriel track.
Well, if you're gonna fight over something,
well,
I
true,
mean,
yeah.
you know, that's. But yeah, it's just, and it's exploring aspects of Picard's psyche and personality that we as an audience never really stopped to consider, which can work, but it also means it's something that we really didn't have a frame of reference to. We just kind of show up and Picard is broken, and
because I'm thinking about that now, and it's like, you can absolutely deconstruct a character that is like as beloved as Picard and like go, okay, what does this character look like after the adventures are over and after the heroism is like shone off? But the problem is that I think, especially with season 1 of Picard, it went a little bit too hard in on everyone is tired of Picard, no one has really any time for him, and that made it feel more cynical than I think maybe they intended it to be. Like, I feel like it was meant to be a reconstruction attempt, but the problem with the reconstruction is that in order for it to feel like earnest, you need to feel like you have like a degree of affection for what you're deconstructing and reconstructing, and Picard never felt like it really took time to do that.
Yeah, no, definitely. We've just been.
You know who I feel a lot of affection for, though.
Hey, buddy.
A wild automaton approaches. I will drink to that.
Hey, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Glad to see you. How you feeling, buddy? How many courses did you have in your dinner tonight?
I was at a buddy's all day, helping them. They bought this ridiculous fence 2 years ago now. There's like endless amounts. When I'm free on the weekends, I go help them out, and we usually.
You might just want to up your mic sensitivity a little bit. You're cutting out a bit. Yeah, how are you, my friend? How was your evening?
About that.
No,
all right, I'm back.
Hey, we were just talking about Picard season 1. What were your thoughts on the overall series? We're sort of just talking about the whole series basically as we jump into season 2. One of my points to your stars, like, and again, not going to spoil anything for season 2 because we're not talking about that here, but the opening of season 2 feels more like the reboot that should have been for season 1. It feels more like something that's more comfortable for people who go, I've watched Picard in the TNG and in the movies, and now we're jumping into a series 30 years later, and it feels more like, oh yes, this is Picard, but he's 30 years older, like he's in his 90s. This feels more like the natural evolution for the person that I want Picard to be, as opposed to what he was at the start of season 1.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, if you took, because I guess what, I know some details about season 2 because Twitter keeps spoiling for it.
You can.
The person that you don't follow, but who's followed by a person you follow, tweeted this. Thanks, I didn't want to see that. Of what I understand, it almost feels like the alternate bad timeline for season 2. You could have put in Picard season 1's actual timeline, and it wouldn't have felt too off.
Yeah, this is where General Picard ended up. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. I think the thing that clangs for me, and I think for people that didn't really vibe with season 1, is it's like it doesn't feel like Starfleet. It doesn't feel like the Federation. It feels like some kind of, I mean, and yes, obviously they did talk about a fairly catastrophic thing that happened, but I don't know. There's nothing to hold on to as saying it's like, okay, now I feel grounded in this series. This feels like an extension of what I'm used to. And you don't really get that until about, like episode 7 or 8. And
it's a point about it being too cynical, because it's like, if you watch just Picard, until you meet Riker, essentially, you would think everyone in Starfleet is a dick but Picard, and it's like, that's not really how it should work. The way that Starfleet should work, and this actually Discovery season 3 really triumphs season 1. Season 3, episode 1, just recently, like last night actually, is that it is a promise of understanding, collaboration, compassion, and working together. That is what it's meant to be. And if you just watch season 1 and you bounce from like, oh, you can't work on cybernetics because it's a bad thing. We're gonna help the Romulans, for sheer fucking humor. Until you meet Riker, if you'd only exposure to Star Trek was that, you'd be like, wow, Starfleet's a load of dick. It's not meant to be like that. People be more like Picard and Riker than they are meant to be fancy in Starfleet. That's actually how it's.
We're just getting DJ Stars there again. It's funny. It goes smooth sometimes, and then all of a sudden it just. I'm gonna come back to that. I'm gonna put a beat under it just for the effect of it.
No.
Just carry on as normal.
You've got a fan in chat, Stars. They're enjoying
it.
Well, yeah, and I think that's just the order that they introduced these things. It does. I think it was kind of detrimental to that, because the only things you saw Commodore O, and Clancy, and it's like, these are your representatives for what Starfleet is right now. And obviously that was an intentional choice, because they wanted to show how far Starfleet had lost its way in the intervening time. But like you say, it's not giving you anything to hold on to that feels like, okay, this is the return of characters that we love. This is a return of stories that we love. But it just doesn't.
Yeah, I think the expectations are high. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, that actually reminds me of. It reminds me. So the series is predicated a deconstruction of Starfleet and then reconstruction, right? And it relies on your knowledge of Starfleet to invest anything into this story. But it won't mention the Dominion War for fear of scaring off people who have not DS9. Like, it's in that weird halfway house of, we're gonna rely on your knowledge, but we're not gonna get too deep in the weeds there. And it's like, that's a bit of a confused message. Like, either stick to being the sequel that you want, or just like tell the story.
It's interesting how they approach it, because I think there's a lot of expectations, because this is the first time we've seen the 24th century since the end of Voyager. Well, yeah, technically the end of Voyager, or Nemesis, in fact. Sorry, get my timeline straight there. And I think a lot of people are hyped, especially people like me who are a bit of a lord, like, I want to know what's happening with everything. And we've kind of got a very introspective series about the lifestyle of Picard. And I wonder, with Patrick Stewart being a producer, and a lot of people have said this, sort of the lines between Picard and Patrick Stewart are very much blurred. I wonder if you guys feel that as well. Do you feel this is more a Patrick Stewart Picard as opposed to the Picard that we remember? And there's no fault with it. I mean, I like this version of Picard that's come out through age, through experience, through the experiences he's had, and now the memories he lives, especially in season 2, which is expanding upon that more. But I wonder how you feel about the sort of more modern era Picard as opposed to televised or movie Picard. Well, movie Picard and televised Picard are two different Picards by themselves, but I just wonder how you guys feel about that.
So, in regards to Patrick Stewart, from what my understanding of Patrick Stewart is, he likes action, and he likes getting with beautiful women, and that's why you have stuff like the Argo, that's why you had Donna Murphy, it's like, he's into that. That's very much not Picard era Picard. Picard era Picard is old, by borderline asexual. He does not move. I think he shoots a phaser once in the entire series, maybe twice. And he's a lot more contemplative. I think maybe that element is like shared in common because Patrick Stewart is older now, but I feel like that's just a natural play. Like, get contemplative when you get older. That's just kind of the way it goes. I feel like if it were more Patrick Stewart, there'd be a bit more action and a bit more playing up to him as it is. as it is, the narrative is kind of kind to most of respects.
Yeah.
Also,
I
how was your experience with Picard?
yeah.
I'm just here to drink.
He stepped in from the cold.
It's probably pretty old man yells at clouds, because I've enjoyed parts here and there. There's parts I've kind of hated, for season 1, season 2. And I have issues with Discovery. I have minor issues with what I've seen from Strange New Worlds. And I'm thinking, do I not like Star Trek anymore? And then I go back and watch some TNG era stuff, and every episode is like, this is the greatest episode of television I've ever watched. So I think I'm just like, if it's passed me by, then that's okay. I've stopped having the expectation of this is going to be like the Trek I grew up on, because it's just not. So I appreciate having some of the same players. Anytime Frakes shows up, it's like, saddle up, baby, let's do this. But on a whole, I'm having to just adjust my own expectations. But there's spoiler alert, but the room of, let's see, how can I say this non-spoilery? In early Picard season 2, where they name drop all these people from other Trek. Like that's fan servicey, and it gets me a little giddy, and like I'm cool with that kind of thing. But then they go off into a different direction with newer players, and it's like, okay, this doesn't feel at all like Star Trek. So I guess in some respects they're kind of living off their former name in a lot of areas to make it seem like a similar show to what people grew up on.
That episode, and that scene is almost like, okay, I see what you're doing, Lower Decks, but here's our card. This is what we can do. Let's do this. It was one of those, like,
I was going to say, like, there is like a fine line between callbacks that feel part of the script and fan service. We're just going to name XXXXX, and just Lower Decks is kind of infamous for just going, it like be 100% callbacks in a kind of almost Family Guy style way, where like Mariner recalling about Khan and all her service on the Enterprise and things like that, and sort of constantly name dropping things like Roga Danar just for the old fans to go, but it works for Lower Decks because it's a comedy. But I wonder if in like, how do you guys feel about sort of more fan servicey name drops and appearances in more modern series, it's like Discovery and Picard, and inevitably Strange New Worlds?
I'm okay with it in Picard, because that's what Picard is. It is literally called Picard, and it follows a guy that we've already watched for 15, 20 years between the movies and the show and everything. In the other series, I don't like it quite as much, and I feel like sometimes they'll pull it out of thin air. This is not... I know I dig on Burnham quite a bit, but the whole, hey, Burnham is actually Spock's sister. It's like, okay, that's, that crosses the line for me into fan service. And again, a spoiler alert, but we talked about it on the show already. Them potentially bringing Kirk into another show. It's like, that crosses the line. I don't want crutches from old stuff necessarily, but I guess I'm okay with it in Picard because it's meant to be the fan service show. But if you want to establish as like, all right, Discovery is this new thing, we're doing our own adventures, well then quit falling back on everyone's favorite established characters, I guess. Maybe that's my double standard.
It's like, quit trying to buy cheap credibility for your new thing by trying to piggyback off of an old thing.
If I will say though, Discovery season 4, without spoiling, does almost none of that. I'm just gonna go back in my head in case they do. If anything, it's more passing mentions, but it is more its own, like you say, it does its own style of storytelling that is done in the last 3 seasons, but it does depend less on what has come before, and sort of does do its own thing more. But that's what I will say. But
to be fair, I didn't even like it. I don't like it in Resurgence either. We've seen some trailers for the new video game, and it's like a guy doing a bad Spock accent. It's like, all right, this is not working for me. I love Nimoy as much as the next guy, but do your own thing and do it well, and then you'll have a niche in the audience. So
let's just turn to Resurgence for a minute, because if you haven't watched it, go on YouTube. There's actually like a little 15-minute gameplay trailer which will give you the kind of sort of informed sort of little snippet of what that kind of whole game's going to be like. And if you've ever played a Telltale game, it's going to be essentially more of that. But there is somebody doing a very bad Spock accent. Well, okay, I'm not going to say it's very bad because it is a very good attempt. Adequate. Yeah, it's a good attempt for someone that isn't Leonard Nimoy, but I feel like they try and lean too many of his tropes, and then when the voice actor can't fit it, it turns into "Hello, I'm normal American," you know. Go on.
So I watched the episode with Robert April, the TASS episode.
Oh, yes.
I think it's called the Yesteryear Incident.
The counterclock incident. Yes.
Oh, the counterclock. Okay, so they go backwards in time. Everyone gets younger. Everyone doing voice for their characters starts talking at a higher pitch as they get younger, so you think that they're actually getting younger. Except fucking Leonard Nimoy just does the same, like, 50-year-old voice, even when he's like a 12-year-old. So it's... I found that hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, with regards to fan service, like I'm generally, I feel like there's a pretty hard delineation in my mind between fan service that is there to tickle the balls of the fans, and that's like, you know, your Rogue Dana or your lower deck services, which are fine, like you say, at different times, so it gets a complete pass in my mind. And some of the Discovery stuff can all go into that. I'll freely admit that. But it's when you take that fan service and you use it to serve the story and in some ways further that story, that's when I'm generally a lot more like pleasant, happy about it. It was like stuff like I know that, like, you know, me and Otto are going to disagree on this, but I felt that some of the Sarek family dynamics in Discovery Season 1 and 2 were arguably some of my favorite parts of those, just because that family is so fucking dysfunctional. Like, no one in that family talks to each other. No one acknowledges that they exist. No one sends each other a Christmas card. It's just awkward. And, like, the fact that they go out of their way to go, okay, so Sarek and Spock don't talk to each other as of Jones Babel. Why? Oh, he didn't approve of my going into Starfleet. Why? Sarek is a high-ranking Federation diplomat. He has no reason to look down on Starfleet. Oh, it's an entirely different thing that makes sense, and it's all to do with Michael. And it's like, that's fine. Actually.
Okay, right. I will counter this with...
Because it's fucked up.
So, so how about, and for those that don't know, Mr. Wesley has been cast as Kirk, James T. Kirk, in the second series of Strange New Worlds.
Wesley Crusher?
Yes, he's been cast as Wesley Crusher. Paul Wesley has been cast as James T. Kirk. Yes, yeah. What's his name? Will Wheaton has been cast as James T. Kirk. There you go. No. What do you think about them doing the same thing they did with Spock in season 1 and 2 of Discovery? Maybe they'll expand his backstory in the same kind of way.
See, the thing is with that is that I already know Kirk's backstory a lot more than I ever kind of feel like I ever knew Spock's.
Do you think we'll see the governor of Kodos again?
I mean, to be fair, if we actually get an exploration of that trauma, like, is in any way more than, oh, this is a convenient plot hook so that I am invested in this story that otherwise has nothing to do with me. That's, because it's, I feel like if you dig into a canon character's backstory and start examining traumatic events that made them who they are, yes, you run the risk of demystifying. But at other points, you also have the ability to recontextualize that character and make them relevant again. Like all the stuff with Spock and his reading disorder, like that's really an interesting way of throwing, and like that's not something I was expecting. And also it still makes sense. I feel like it was why the character. Like coming from a family that has a strong family history of like autism, like it was nice to get that validated in a way, and it also wasn't the whole like space magic autism where we're gonna have predators extract it magic powers.
About that.
Like it was just a case of Spock sees the world differently because of this, and it means things are different for him. It's like, I don't know, like with Kirk, I don't have any doubt that because let's face it, no matter what your criticisms are of Discovery or Picard or whatever, the series always look good. They always are acted well. Like, they may not always be to your taste, but they at least are not bad leads, It's just a case of whether or not it resonates with you. And for me, most of it resonates so far. There are absolutely moments where I'm like, that doesn't track for me. Like, that does happen. But hit and miss for me. But it is a case of I'm coming at it from a different age group with a different taste of media from someone like Otto. And I totally understand why he doesn't get along with this.
I am generations older than you. That's the difference between them. Pull up in chat, folks. Let us know about these new character callbacks. I think while you've been talking, it made me realize why I don't like certain ones. And I don't want you to sully Kirk and Spock's name for your own show. But in Picard, when they did, here's a callback to that fucking random Voyager episode in season 1 where they had the teleporter. It's like, who remembers that? Now that and some of the Lower Decks ones are like, okay, this is a love letter. Like, only the diehards would know. Here's something that if you're just a casual viewer, you might not know it, and so it slips under the radar. Those I like. Where it's like, Spock had a secret hidden life that no one knew about. Then it's like, well, hold on a second. So I guess that's my thing. If it's too in your face or it's too someone that you think you already know about, maybe I don't like that. But if it's something that's like slips on the radar, or I think like in Voyager when they did their own self-referential, like Donara Pell came back a second time to help them. It's like, whoa, that makes sense because the Vidians, there was a tie in there, and it's like, if you didn't watch every episode, maybe you never heard of her before. So I kind of like the ones that are a little more, only the diehards know this. I try not to gatekeep it, but that's
it amazes
just
me. Just a quick side tangent, because I want to ask Walt and Big about what they think of Paul Wesley as Kirk. But just a quick side tangent: how many people recurring on Voyager is the most wild thing ever? Because they're supposed to be traveling at millions of miles per hour home, yet they keep bumping into the same Kazon, and they keep having people coming back. It's just like, how is Neelix's race this many miles away from their home world when the Voyager spent 7 years getting there? Like. They had to fight. Did the Talaxians have to fight the Borg on the way? Anyway, Big Walt, guys, we haven't spoke because we spoke about this new casting of Captain Kirk on the last stream. We want to hear your opinions about
it. Here, Walt, you go ahead.
I'm kind of along the lines of where Otto and Stars were on this. If it's just having Kirk in it because we can have Kirk in it, it just seems like. They're doing it to try and hook. We'll get more viewers because we've got Kirk. If he's there for a point, if he's there for a good reason, if there's some, I'd argue if he's there for some character development for maybe not him, but for other characters that are within the show, then that's going to be a benefit. But if it's just there as, we need to have Kirk in because we need to get some viewers. I'm not convinced yet.
Well, I will say that when the news first broke that they had cast a Kirk for this series, my first thought was, no, why? Because Strange New Worlds we have just found out that it was for sure happening, that they were doing season 1, and it was going to be its own thing, return to episodic style Trek. Where the cast kind of could develop their own identity separate. And then you hear the news that obviously Spock was already going to be there, but now that they've cast an Uhura and a Dr. Mbenga and some other legacy characters, Chapel, I believe, to where it's just like, okay, that's already starting to feel like you're just starting to name drop things. And then you bring up the big name from the original series that really shouldn't. That really shouldn't have a reason to be there, as far as we're aware of, at this point in the story that we presume that they're going to tell. And it's like, why already? Why do you release this news when they're not even going to be there for another season, and you haven't even released one episode of season 1 yet? Why is this news coming out now? And it's like, do they not trust their own show before anybody's even seen any of it.
I suspect the news came out because of the leaked shots that came at the screen, which was Paul Wesley and I forget the name of the actress, but who plays Lan Noonien Singh, which is a whole thing in itself. The fact we're getting a Khan reference as a main character. But yeah, I suspect the news came out. People were already surmising that, or maybe he's playing Captain Kirk, and they had to kind of get ahead of the curve on that. So I suspect that might have been why that got announced. But
how many times did Andrew Garfield lie about, whatever things that Andrew Garfield
still lying to this day.
You don't have, you don't have to confirm these things. You don't have to. It's like, okay, well, you got us. You can deny it. It's like if you want to protect your story.
What about? That's another blonde Starfleet officer with Captain Stripes. That's Captain. I don't know, freaking.
Well, a lot of people saying Decker. Probably supposing it was going to be Decker.
Will Decker's on the sun. There you
go. That works.
Yeah.
Yeah. But okay. But my real answer is, well, for one, from the shots that we've seen and the stuff that they've released now, which I guess we can talk about because it's it was released through official channels. It's like it looks like he's a captain already.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the conflicting thing.
Yeah, which leads me to believe that this is not something that's meant to be concurrent with the main plot of Strange New Worlds. So maybe it's a flash forward kind of thing. And if it's in that capacity, I can see where there would be the potential for it to be something that's meaningful and could tell a good story. Because in the end, what it does come down to is, what's the story? What's the story that they're trying to tell? Is the story worth going to that well? Because it could be. I mean, I'm not, so cynical to say that there can't be a story where it's necessary to bring in a James T. Kirk to sell that story. I'm not. And if that is the case and they do it well, then great. But I cannot say that this is not a red flag for me, and a pretty big one right off the bat. Again, before they've even released one episode of the series. So it makes me nervous.
Yeah, I'm still hopeful that it's going to be some kind of meta joke, and it's going to be some kind of.
What if they are pulling the reverse Into Darkness, where everyone was like, no, he's not Khan, he can't be Khan. They're doing the opposite. It's like, yeah, he's Kirk. No. It's Captain Decker.
So even more
again.
Khan again. Do some kind of meta joke, or it's literally a case of like. They confront, because here's the thing, right? If you had describe the command styles of Kirk and Pike and how they differ, how would you do that? Right? And it's like they are very similar men of action. They're both very sort of, they were literally both 60s leading men in that kind of traditional style. And I feel like if you wanted to draw more of a line between who they are as individuals, because they're different, when you stop and really think about it, I feel like that's a well story to tell, especially if you make it about justifying Strange New World's existence. Almost, it's like, why do we need this? We need this show. Like, isn't all we have about Kirk worthwhile? It's like, well, yes, but here's a story about why Pike in this is more suited for this. I feel like you could make decent meta commentary out, and I like it when Star Trek gets meta every now and then. Now
there is.
Well, that's interesting too. I'm sorry, I'll let you talk.
Please.
I wonder if this might be something that is more focused around Spock then, or at least this aspect of it, because I mean that he would be the common link between these two captains, and they might need to tell that in sharper relief than we realize right now.
I don't think Spock is any better than Kirk in terms of going back to the well, because we've had decades focused on just give me Uhura, give me Chekhov, give me Oo, give me Detmer, give me Malcolm Reed, give me Hoshi Sato. Don't give me guys who on IMDb have credits for every single episode because they have 80% of the lines. Give me the guys who get 1% of the lines, because you can still cash in on, hey, here's characters that you guys all know from the good old days of Trek, but you don't know anything about them other than they speak Swahili. So we're going to give you some more backstory there. Like, do we really need? We don't need another Kirk. One was enough. You know, you can do the name value stuff and still give us a strange new world of character backstory.
So
Well, and I think that
I mean, you're not going to sell to networks as well as, hey, here's Hoshisada versus, hey, here's Kate Kirk, and I get that, but you know, from a purely fan point of view.
well, and I think Picard season 2 is kind of showing us how much mileage you can get out of doing name dropping well. Not to reveal what those names are or anything like that, but you just having it be texture in your world building, just doing that well. You don't have to have them on screen. It's like you don't have to have them, you know, be a visible presence in order to get the whatever mileage you need out of them.
A thread from that, like, where does your world building go once you've built the world? Like, Star Trek is a fully fleshed out world with gaps here and there, which is why, you know, like Otto said, they have potential to expand on Uhura and Chapel, which they're doing in Strange New Worlds, which we hope they are doing anyway. But, you know, when in a world this full, and we know quite a lot of the timeline, they still kind of want to bring back these sort of recurring notes where they could sort of expand in other areas because of popularisms. But the elephant in the room that sticks out to me is Anson Mount has been vocal previously to Strange New Worlds announcement of he never wanted to do a full series. Like, he never wanted to sit down and do like the whole, you know, 5-6 week shoot thing. And here he is doing at least 2 series. I'm wondering in the back of my head, were there preceding Kirk in there to set up the lead into the original series and to give the event, because we start the original series, you know, where No Man Has Gone Before starts with a fully fleshed out Enterprise crew. We don't know how far in the journey they are. They could be 9 months to a year. They could have been in the first 2 months. We don't know where they're going to try and seed that into maybe a limited series of the original series build up to then go into sort of that kind of scenario.
Does anybody want that?
No, I don't. I want Anson
Does
Mount
anybody
staring at
want
me.
that?
All right, I want Anson Mount staring at me in the camera and just saying affirmations, and just that will do me. I will melt and watch 3 hours of that. That's fine.
I don't necessarily want that, but if that is the price to pay to have a Pike series at all, then that's the way it is. Like, ultimately, if it's a case of, hey, you guys really like Anson Mount, and so do we, but these are the terms he's willing to do it, what are you going to tell him? No.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it actually comes down to. If it is that, I would actually rather have, like, 2, maybe 2.5 seasons of Pike, and then you have like a season or whatever of Kirk, and then you lead into the West for a great like that. Fine. I'll
Trek
take
is
it.
bigger than one man, though.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't want to see a network cater to any one man, whether he's Patrick Stewart or whoever. Like, do the show that you think will be the best show that you can do, not the one that, well, we'll have him for 2 years and then we'll pivot to something else. Like,
if I'd say if they get the rest of the supporting cast, get them right, give them their time in the spotlight. It doesn't need to be Anson Mount spending half the screen, taking up half the screen time. Does it? They can make sure that everyone else gets their chance. I mean, one of my criticisms of Discovery obviously is it's very central around Burnham and Saru and some of the characters like Detmer and Owo and the bridge crew kind of don't get much time in the spotlight. So, yeah, maybe that's what Strange New Worlds was going to do. Maybe that's why we've seen these are the crew. We're going to get some really good development and some good time for those other crew.
We typically stay away from politics, but maybe it's just my perspective as I'm getting older. I'm so fucking sick of seeing old people ruin the country, ruin other people's countries, and you can see younger, capable, intelligent presidents in other countries, and so it's like I don't want old people ruining my Star Trek too. Like I don't need them trotting out the corpse of other people. Like yes, we enjoyed them, but now let someone else shine. Someone else will have great ideas in the future. I promise you. We don't need this. And I'm fine with fan service and stuff, but I'm even getting a little tired of Patrick Stewart having, the fun in action himself. Like, let him be the guide for the next generation. Don't let him be the next generation.
Hopefully he will be.
Can I...
Doug,
Oh, I was like, can I tell you guys something that has kind of ruined the current version of Patrick Stewart's Picard for me once I noticed it? He has now, I don't know if it's a choice on his part or if it's just something that he does now, but he just kind of has what I have called to myself resting bewildered face. Where it's like it just like what his face is that represents neutral in the series is just kind of a little bit.
He's getting forgetful.
Yeah, and I can't shake it now, and I'm really upset at myself.
But I will shout out, and this is another no spoilers thing. John Delancey is maybe 99% of what he was, which at his age makes it incredible. He may as well be 300% of what he was. This guy is, if they'd have done the CGI on him, you would have believed that he's 40 if they'd have done the CGI on him.
We've not seen him since 2001 on screen. Like
he nails the voice.
2022 is a leap, and he has not changed. Aside from
he's the best. He's so freaking good, and especially in relief of or in contrast of Patrick Stewart, who, like you said, Big, he has aged in certain ways, and it's obvious. But John Delancey, for his age, I think he's 71 at this point. Dude,
74. 74 now.
74.
Dude can bring it. Like, he's excellent.
Yeah.
He's so good, and I just want more of him. I haven't seen the latest Picard, but I hope he's in every episode from now on because he's so good.
So you want Star Trek Q?
Yeah, dude. Why not?
How does he look so good at 74? How is that fair?
No. Okay, pivot back to Strange New Worlds quickly. What do we think about Laan Noonien Singh aspect? Because the screenshot we've seen, other than the one with Kirk on the bridge with Paul Wesley, is a shot of her and Kirk somewhere. Like, it seems like there's an interaction between a descendant, prescendant, whatever the timeline fuckery is going to happen there with Laan and Kirk, and that seems almost an impossibility by itself because Khan is the future. Well, so at this point,
I tell you, the best thing about Delancey at this point is how fucking awesome he is at everything he does. That's what's awesome, baby.
No, he's even awesome at cameo. I mean,
yes.
I think the name is dumb. You already have Noonien Singh. Do you really need to rhyme his first name too? Like, I know that's a little hang up, but it's like, all right, we get it. She's related to Ricardo Montalban.
And her dad, Da'an.
So,
and her Amish father, Ba'an.
His parents went to a Ba'an raising. Yeah.
What is this joke going to go on for?
To the end of Ta'am.
No.
Don.
You ask, we're answering.
Yeah. Don't challenge me to extend a dad joke because I will comply every time.
That's about right. I have a thought. So the pictures that they've taken of her and Kirk in like whatever look like contemporary, America, which with a little bit of set dressing doesn't look too different from, say, the 1990s. So what I always wonder if Laan Noonien Singh is not the latest part of that dinner, perhaps maybe the first. And we've got some clothes fuckery going on. I almost wonder I almost wonder if that could be a possibility. Now, that's wild speculation. That's my theory crafting work. But that would be a weird way to do it. But Star Trek's done it before.
It's your kids, Connie. Something's got to be done about your kids. We got to go back to the future.
Yeah, basically.
No, I mean it's possible because, like you say, we don't know anything. All we have are shots in isolation and character names, and it's all raising alarm bells to me because it feels forced in a way that it shouldn't for something that we know nothing of the plot about. But I think you have to give some faith to the people that are creating this and give them the leeway to at least start telling the story that they want to tell before we decide whether we hate it or not.
Yeah. I'll be real with you. Like, if you told me that in season 3 of Discovery, they go back to the Mirror Universe somehow and have a 2-parter about that with featuring the Guardian Forever, I'd be like, that sounds fan-fiction-y twaddle. And then it was great.
Did you know what?
So
on another side of that as well, when they announced the episode listing for Discovery Season 3, they said, yes, we've got Unification Part 3. I was just like, wait, is this a bad Metallica cover? Is this The Unforgiven 3? But actually, in retrospect, that actually turned out to be fairly linky and quite good as well.
3 is really good. I actually kind of like it more than 1 and 2.
Pull up in chat, folks. Tell us what your favorite part of Star Trek is. Because a thought I had is, one thing I quite like is the future tech and all the cool stuff that come out with teleporters, this and that. Sorry, transporters. Fake fan. And one thing that kind of rubs me raw is with Discovery, and to their credit, they canned it pretty fast. But the spore drive, it's like, hold on. All of a sudden, you have instant galaxy-wide teleportation that none of the other series had. So that's why I'm kind of sick of prequels. Give me a sequel, and then you can do whatever kind of wacky tech you want, and it can make sense in storylines. So I feel like they go to the prequel well because they can go, oh, we can add backstory to established characters and keep the fandom intact. But I just want them to go out there, give me weird tech in the future, and I'm sure stars are going to say, well, actually, Discovery does that in season 4, but I haven't gotten there yet. So that's just one thing that I like is the cool future tech stuff, and I feel like every time they go back, they're kind of sacrificing that aspect of it.
Well, and it's that kind of thing where, and I don't want to put everybody on blast that writes and comes up with the ideas for these things, but it's almost like they are doing that so they don't have to make up an entire story. They can just they have a seed for a story that's pre-existing. So when you go back to a prequel, it's like, well, you already know the end of the story. So all you have to do is just write stuff that ends where you think it's supposed to end. And so, yeah, I don't want to say it's lazy, but it feels lazy. It feels like, okay, you don't have any ideas. You don't have a story to tell. So let's just borrow one and then add a couple of chapters to it.
So I have 2 points to make about that. One, I feel like your justification for doing that is better when you're doing it for Star Trek, which has a history dating back to the 1960s, and some of these story concepts were not done well in their original iteration. For example, the way that they do Pike and Vina in season 2 of Discovery is like an actual romantic relationship as opposed to what they actually kind of had in Cage. Really. I feel there's a lot more tenderness, and his ending to the menagerie.
Thank you.
Do it on stream this time.
Thank you,
I feel like his ending in the menagerie is a lot nicer now that you don't go from, hey, this is that woman you attracted once, to now you're living with her forever. Having an in-between spots, that story smooths it out a bit.
On that,
Second,
I think, sorry, just on that very quickly, I think going back to the Cage, they did establish that there was that seeds of Pike sort of basically said, like, yeah, this could be a thing if I wasn't trapped like an animal. And, like, he said, yeah, my desires are so much that I would want to be with you. You know, as much as they can do in a 45 minutes of a show, of a pilot. Yeah. But, yeah, there was... I wouldn't say it was an outright... They were trapped together and forced to be as an item where there was an attraction, but, yeah. Anyway, sorry. Counterpoint, here's counterpoint.
No, you're okay. So the second part, and this is, I feel like, maybe a bit of a cheat, and I feel like Idle will back me up on this. As someone who has to write storylines for tabletop, yes, it is so much easier to just take a plot line that was not picked up on in a previous series or movie and go, what if I put that out into an entire thing? Because yes, you do get to go hook into. These are the characters my audience, aka my players, enjoys, and I don't have to write an entirely new world, universe, or an entire new supporting cast for this adventure. And yes, it is a lot easier. And I'll be real for in terms of like instant gratification. Yeah, it's a lot easier. It works that way, and it's also really hard to resist the temptation to throw in the odd cameo there, drop a name in just the right place at the right time, so you get to see that thing happen. Like, good fun in the end. Like, yeah, it's forced as fuck, but when it works, it's fun. And that's a really lazy way of getting around it. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it is extremely lazy. That's like your instant graphic, your popcorn GM type like style thing. But I can't say I haven't done it.
Yeah. Talking of, like, you know, what the part of Auto's poll, my favourite stories are the TNG ones, like the Drumhead, and the one where it's a morality play, one where they're really sort of looking at the different facets of humanity in the context of contemporary times, which are still relevant today. You know, where Picard ends up dressing down some admiral, or there's definitely some sort of ethical lesson to be learned from all this, like who watches the Watchers, is it right to play God in certain situations, like the Drumhead, how much is too much investigation over one's own ambition. Like, I really love that element. That is the kind of one thing I feel is missing a little bit from modern Trek that I do miss. Like, I love modern Trek, I really do like it, but I do wish it had a little bit more of that I think that's what's missing from what's called bottle episodes. From people that don't know, is like when you have a 26 episode season, you have to have 2 or 3 episodes that are cheap, and often, and this happens across all series, this isn't just Star Trek, there's like Doctor Who and Stargate and everything, you have an episode that's just set on the base that you just have entirety of is writing, and often those are the best episodes because you get a lot of character play, you get a lot of just, they have to fill the time with like actual moral dilemmas as opposed to actionable dilemmas, and I appreciate that more.
So on that point, you go.
The battle episodes, I think, lend themselves better to that, because if you're doing serialization, you have to try to tie in threads from the other 4 stories you're doing, and if you go a whole episode or 2 whole episodes without picking that up, it's really easy for the viewer to forget what was going on. So the self-contained episodes, I think, all right, here's the mustache twirling villains, here's why they're bad, and here's why we're going to defeat them because we're the good guys. That's a lot easier to tell, in 42 minutes, I think.
Yeah. So, quick poll. What is the best single episode from Discovery season?
Season what, sorry?
Season what?
Discovery season 1. What is the best episode?
I'm going to say Magic That Makes the Sanest Men Go Mad. The one where Mudd comes back. It is its own episode. When he comes back and just time loops the whole way. I absolutely love that episode.
It's the bottle episode.
Yeah, essentially.
To be honest, the only one that sticks out in the 3.5 seasons I've watched is the New Eden one, because that was a bottle episode and it felt like good old classic morality play. So, and that's not a
Those are the two that I would say.
That's not a disco bash. It's just in my head. It's really hard to separate them.
Well, because it's hard to pick out an episode in a season-long story arc, because it all kind of flows together as one big thing. That's why in Picard, the season 1, the best episode is probably Nepenthe, because that's also where the story just takes a breath and does its own thing for a minute. Yes, it touches on things, but it is its own thing. For the rest of these series, it's like it's just a whole it's a whole movie.
I will give a shout out
So
to
it's
Stardust
hard-
City Rag on that one, the one where they go down into the
Yeah.
Cloud City.
Jizzle.
And, the sinister Picard, and that whole scene. Like, that's kind of its own fun little thing as well. I kind of like that as that's the kind of the royale of Picard season 1. That's the one where they just go to some stupid planet and have fun. I quite like that.
There are moments in Discovery that I remember, and unfortunately it's moments more than like episodes, but the Tyler Burnham stuff, I felt like, there was a point there where they could have taken Burnham in a certain direction that would have made me fall in love with her, and they ended up just not doing that. But I definitely like their interplay, and I can remember certain scenes in there. Shout out to Chat Current 3, who says Shuttle Pod 1 from Enterprise is a good example of quite a literal bottle episode, because they're stuck in the thing for the whole time.
Oh, and now you talk.
What else were we talking? Where did we start? I forget.
I'm waiting for you to defend Discovery more. Cause,
No. This you've got a fair point. Discovery has its faults. Like.
No, look, I love and respect Stars. So when he defends Discovery, I listen, and sometimes I change my views. So if there's ever going to be a place to get through to this thick skull about Discovery, it's going to be here amongst friends.
Yeah, I know. I think there's good points made. You say, when you've got a big arc, the story. If you can go, DS9. Look at DS9. Favorite episodes from DS9, like Magnificent Ferengi. How relevant was that to the Dominion War? Not at all. But was it amazing? Yes, it was. Did we all love it? Yeah. So it's every series, and it's I suppose it's about contrast, isn't it? It's like you can't have you need the highs to get the lows and all that kind of stuff, and you need a little bit of the fun episodes, the stuff that everyone can just the ones you can just pick up and just watch one episode and just go, I'll just watch that one episode. We all do it. And go, I just need something to watch, and it's like, you're not going to watch 12 episodes in a row to try and pick up all the storyline. You're going to go, I'm going to watch Bada Bing, Bada Boom. I'm going to watch that.
In the famous words of Stars and Garters, Captain Solak had time in the middle of the Dominion War for the episode Take Me Out to the Holosuite, where Nog saves like their little universe with a bunt. And it's so absurd, but like they could have stuck with we really have to finish out the story arc, and people are dying left and right. But no, they're like, fuck it, bottle episode wherever we want, and it makes it memorable.
I think, ultimately, I say, Fragrance Free comes in with this chat with this, and I was thinking this all through this sort of conversation. Regardless of what you think of storyline or character work, it does come down to modern versus the classic 90s storytelling. It is modern serialized storytelling, which started with, turn of the century, turn of the millennium, 2001 with Lost and with 24. That changed to serialized mystery box style storytelling with like season-long whole serial drama, and that kind of took off the storm. And that is how people these days like to watch their television in all forms, especially now we've transcended from network television to streaming. And I think this is, I half wonder whether a lot of people's problems really are with modern Star Trek are with the format because it's modern storytelling, or whether it's just not like 90s Trek. And not against anything what you guys have said, but just as a general statement.
Well, yeah, because not everybody wants everything they watch to be Dragon Ball Z.
Why not? Dragon Ball Z is amazing.
No, and I grew up on Dragon Ball Z. I'm not denigrating that, but just like we're talking about these things, and it's like how we don't really have episodes to grab onto from these, with notable exceptions. But yeah, just where all we have are moments. We don't have, one story apart from the whole big story to grab onto. So it makes it harder, and it like to Walt's point, it makes it harder to just like pop on an episode just in the middle of an afternoon because you want to kill an hour. It's like, what episode of Discovery are you doing that with? And maybe it's the Mud episode, maybe it's the the New Eden episode, but other than that, it's like you're just dropping the needle in the middle of the song and pulling the needle back up before the song's over. That's not a really satisfying experience. And it's I kind of went down on a tangent that I don't know how to get myself out of now. So somebody else talk.
Time, don't worry.
Pull up in chat, folks. Let us know. And this is kind of
I
generalized.
can't decide.
Do you like the longer, the 20-plus episode seasons where sometimes they never leave 10 forward? Or do you like the shorter episodes with big budget? And that's something I think that Game of Thrones kind of revolutionized because it felt a lot more epic and grandiose scale, but they're obviously not putting out 26-episode seasons.
God, it's such a shame that series ended as shit as it did, because that was, like, the first 4 or 5 seasons of Game of Thrones were brilliant. Like, it was such a really well-constructed, well-thought-out show, and it just, shame it went to such shit. That's the example of where, you know, end your series well, people. Lost has that example as well. Although Lost did end kind of well, it definitely had its moments where it was a bit like, we don't know
No spoilers,
what
la 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 la.
you not watched Lost? Christ.
I watched like the first 3 seasons, I think.
Yeah.
I've not watched an entire episode of Lost in my life.
I spent some time with it. It was worth it, I think, at the end. It was good. But it was... it's one of those things you had to watch at the time. I think if you watched it now, you'd be like, okay, it's just a normal show alongside all these other ones. It wouldn't be as revolutionary as it was back then, when everyone was talking about it. Everyone wanted to know what the hook was. Everyone had theories about it. It was one of the first, especially with the dawn of the internet sort of coming to everyone's homes, it was one of the sort of first serialized network television shows to really capture people and get people talking about it.
And it had Admiral Pressman in it as well, you know. So
that's right.
Got to tie it in with Trek, haven't we?
Well, I mean, with Game of Thrones, I think it was pretty obvious that they outkicked their coverage. They got out ahead of the source material that they had, so they had to just kind of make up the rest of it as they went along. It's like with input from the creator, but it's like they were just kind of winging it from there. And I think a similar thing to something like The Walking Dead or something like that, where just after a while they had to make more story because the series was so popular. They couldn't just stop it and wait for more stuff to get. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just you have to keep going because it's. Yeah. So.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I can't. Nobody can.
But I think this, shows have to innovate or they die. Like this is the David Bowie effect. If David Bowie kept doing the same kind of stuff he was doing since Ziggy Stardust, he would have been like AC/DC, or although Huge would have been kind of relegated to what they sound like. But David Bowie always innovated. I think Star Trek, by its literal definition, it has to innovate, it has to expand and move on. Which is why when your poll, I can't decide which is what I prefer. I love the old stuff, but I also really like the new stuff, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I can't rightfully decide which way's the better way. I do agree. I love Discovery, but I do agree it has its flaws in the same way that TNG has its flaws in other ways. Like the first 2 seasons of TNG are some good stories in there, but also some really rough starts. TOS has its problems, but likewise, Discovery has its own sort of slew of problems. Picard season 1, as we described earlier, has its problems resolving. I think there are issues all around. It is just a matter of time and place and preference.
There's some shows, and it's one of the few I've watched over and over, but 24 sometimes. They have 24 episodes in a season, obviously. It's supposed to happen in real time. And every once in a while at the end of one of their seasons, they have 3 episodes left, and suddenly they introduce this whole new character, this whole new story.
The Ezri
They
Dax
take you on the roller coaster trip, and then they wrap it up by the end. And it's like, hold on, if shows can do that in 3 or 4 episodes, how come we can't have Modern Trek with 10 episodes? Give us 3 or 4 bottle episodes, and still do a tight, cohesive, serialized story for the rest of it. I think it can be done, but it's certainly tricky. I'm not going to pretend like I can sit down and write better than they can. But
I will say that, without spoiling, Discovery season 4, now it's wrapped up, now it's finished, is really good. It is the best version of that serialized storytelling. It has its start, it wraps up, it has a point to prove from the start to the end, and it has a few sort of little bottle things in the middle. I think they have a few episodes where they go off and do something else other than the main hook, but it is something that is resolved really well like in terms of itself. It is a cohesive, serialized piece of storytelling that if you like the previous 3 series of Discovery, you will like season 4. Is the kind of the most diplomatic way I can say that. It is, for people that don't like Discovery, obviously you come watch this, you're not going to like it, but it does feel like they crafted the story properly as opposed to sort of like winging it and like, yeah.
Let me pull everyone quickly, because part of my problem with Discovery is it's the Burnham show. And even episodes that you told me, hey, they did great with the story, I'll watch it and be like, well, hold on, this is still 80% Burnham.
I honestly think,
everyone give me,
I agree.
Well, hold on.
Sorry.
Hold on. Everyone give me one name of a character, an established character from Star Trek, who you could not get sick of if they did 100% of them for every episode of the season.
Rena.
Who's that?
Jet Reno.
Can we all speak for stars on that one? I think we can.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is this Discovery only, or can we?
Any series? And Chad, you help us out. What's one character from Star Trek? And just you would have like 3 whole seasons of them just doing their thing, and you wouldn't get sick of them.
Not essentially Star Trek Janeway to a point? Because there was a lot of the themes were about her and her handling the crew, although in a different way. That was the Janeway show to a point.
It's the Janeway and Seven show. Depends on what season you're watching, where the focus lies.
But
so we have 2 votes for Jet. Jet says Q as well. Stars, are you with Worf? Sticking with Worf?
Oh, well, that's an obvious one. I'm trying to not so obvious.
I think I might go with Data.
I was just thinking
because Spiner's fantastic with everything he's done, and there's a lot to unpack there, even though they've done a fair share of that already. Nog, ooh, there's an interesting one.
From the episode haters, B'Elanna, interesting.
B'Elanna's wonderful. I think Roxanne Dawson's not given nearly enough credit for how interesting she is. And her storyline and her backstory and how she reacts to it and how she reacts to people, fascinating. And I don't think she got nearly enough play.
I think if they had just called Star Trek Discovery, I mean, they couldn't have just called it Star Trek Burnham because that would have confused everyone. But it is, if you think of it as the Star Trek Picard to Star Trek Burnham, it is, and I completely agree with that. As someone that loves Discovery, yes, it is the Burnham show, absolutely. And it depends on your tolerance for that character, of how much you like her or don't like her, what mileage you'll get out of that.
Someone in chat says, Rin the Andorian, I wish you had more of a story. I have good news for you, my friend. He's going to be live on this channel 7 days from now at our charity stream. So
very hyped for that.
Tune in a week.
Could I have a duo, maybe?
Sure, why not?
Because I
two
think
picks or 2 characters hogging
2 characters, two characters together. Because one that I think would be a lot of fun would be Odo and Quark.
Oh, yes.
Dude, that's a sitcom waiting to happen.
Yeah, it is.
Yes. And then the other obvious choice to me would be Bashir and Garrick. At first, I almost just said Garrick by himself, but I think that would be kind of a Boba Fett effect, where the more you find out about him, the less interesting he would be as a character.
Yeah.
The reason that he works so well is because they use him tastefully, and it's like they don't overuse him anywhere.
Yeah, the best parts of that recent Boba Fett series was the Mandalorian episode, so there you go. That's telling.
Yeah.
Racing Liners in chat says Kira Nerys. I can get on board with that. Kind of everything she does is thought-provoking.
I think DS9 is kind of the answer to people. If people have a problem with Discovery and they've not watched Deep Space Nine, go watch Deep Space Nine, because that is kind of giving you that same flavour of Star Trek with the serialized storytelling done well, in a really good way. I think, but it fleshes out your side characters, and that's really good. Like, imagine, on the scale that we have a Garrick episode, like Andrew Robinson was a part-time actor, yet he got some major storylines from the get-go. Like, he got, from him suffering from having, what was the episode where he has the thing in his head, The Wire. The Wire, that's the season 2 episode. Imagine having an OO episode in Discovery, on that kind of scale. It's a shame it hasn't happened, which is why I think people are quite disappointed we don't get more from the bridge crew on the same sort of scale of like Garak or Nog or trying to think of someone else here. Not Lieutenant Casey.
There are
no.
a couple of characters. There's a couple of characters from Voyager in Seven and Doc who you could do that with, because their character is so expandable and programmable to what you want. The issue is we've already probably seen several seasons of those kind of stories already between the 7 seasons that they had. So
I'd be down for a Riker series. I would.
Probably.
Even now.
Cooking.
Yeah. He's one of the few actors from that era I trust to still do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, plus, and just he has maybe the most range as far as his characterization and his acting ability, to where he can go from full comic to full dramatic, and you buy it both directions.
And full romantic, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm listening to his DVD commentary of First Contact right now, and I didn't even bother syncing it with First Contact. I'm just listening to him talk with a little audio in the background.
You do you really?
No, you don't.
He's a lovely guy.
There's a few tangents where he talks a lot about directorial stuff where I'm like, hold on, Zephram Cochrane just said the phrase Star Trek, and you're talking to me about like the shooting at midnight or whatever. I'm like, I don't care about that. Tell me. But most of it is like I'm laughing, and my wife's looking over at me like, "What are you laughing at?" I'm like, "Oh, it's a thing. Don't worry about it."
What's so funny? Don't you just hate that when you laugh at something and they ask, "What's so funny?" and you're like, "I've got to explain like 3 seasons worth of content for you to get this."
It's a whole load of in jokes. It's going to take
this has been a long time coming. Do you want to sit down and me explain it? And then just go, "Oh no, I'm not that interested."
I'll draw you a graph. I'll show you where
let me
go.
get this book of schematics off of my shelf so we can get into this properly.
All right, Sergenko, calm it down. Now you.
What do we got? What do we got, boys?
I don't know.
All right, let's pivot back to food. I sent one Stars and Garters an 18-page list of everything. Where he's coming in May, and I couldn't be more excited. I wrote down like 18 different restaurants and 12 different locales we're going to go for between Europa Park, and there's an open-air zoo, and we're going to do all sorts of between fun. It ranges from fun.
You need to film all of this so we can have
to lame grandpa things, but it's going to be great.
I need to see all
Be
of
my
these.
grand adventure.
Yeah, we're going to film. I'm going to film the look on Star's face when the quadruple decker burger comes and sets in front of him.
I'm hungry now. I'm hungry.
Okay. If we're going to go with the food, favorite burger toppings. What do you want in a burger?
More meat, either pulled pork or bacon, thick cut bacon, something like that. Another patty. Just
Do you
give me
separate
more.
the patties with something, or do you just have one on top of the other?
If it gets too big, you have to decompile it. But it's like having 3 burgers in succession.
Oh, you missed the deconstructed pizza conversation earlier then.
Oh, darn.
Okay, I'll go a little left of center here. There's a burger that I used to get at a very inexpensive diner style restaurant called Steak and Shake.
Steak and Shake, yeah.
Yeah, and I believe it was called the Royale, but it's not like a play on the Pulp Fiction thing. But it's based on
the TNG episode. Can you imagine?
Yes.
Jonathan Frakes in there.
Yeah, no, that's it has ground up cadaver astronaut over the top of the burger. No, that took a turn, didn't it? No, but no, it's a bacon double cheeseburger with all the standard toppings on it, and then it also has a fried egg on top of all of that, and it adds a dimension to it that you wouldn't think you would like, but it turns out to be really good because it's like the yolk of the egg kind of mixes in with everything else, and it makes it a richer experience. So on top of anything else that you would want on a burger, which is there's almost nothing that you could put on a burger that I wouldn't eat, but since a fried egg is notable, and I'm going to go with that.
I think there's a certain amount of everyone's gone crazy with how much crap can we put on a burger. So it's you can't eat the thing, can you? Just touching though on that fried egg thing, there was a place we used to eat in London for lunch, and they did katsu curry and all that kind of stuff, and I'm a big fan of that. But they did it like Scotch egg with katsu curry, and it was like, and it's like people go, it sounds wrong, but it's so right. It's good again. They were soft eggs in the middle. Oh, they were phenomenal. But yeah, I'm just a big fan for burgers. Just do the basics, do it well. Good beef, get some tomato, a good slab of onion in there. If you want bacon and cheese, well, I'm down with that as well. But barbecue or ketchup or something like that, and just keep it simple and do it well. As far as I'm concerned.
Pull up in chat, guys. Guac or no guac?
On a burger.
Yeah, I guess in general,
burrito,
but on a burger.
Well, and also.
So you only put it on horizontal meat, not vertical meat. Is that the delineation?
I just don't.
Yes, it's altitude based, right?
Just in a bun, guacamole in a bun. I don't know. That doesn't seem right. I'd rather have it on no. If we're going back to a traditional burger, I'm just happy with with the burger. Keep the burger, keep the cheese, and add me one or like Walt says, like one or two extra things. Don't go over the top, like stack up to the high heavens with like onion rings and eggs and mushrooms and everything. Like I love say like a burger, cheese, chili, something like that. Just keep it simple and lovely. That's something I can just pick up and inhale and then go, I need more.
Fragrance-free Vaseline. I used to go to the strip club for a really good $5 burger and fries and a beer. We called it Triple B Burger Beer Boobs.
Everything you can eat under one roof.
We all nervously look off screen if our wife is in the room.
Oh, Brady would approve. It's fine.
Unironically, I think I said this last time, but I actually had a really good burger the other day at the Child Soft Play Centre I was at the other week for a kid's birthday party. I was just hungry, and I was just like, I was like, yeah, can I just have a burger and I get my kids some chips and I'd eat this burger and go, this is really good. It's just literally a cheeseburger. I wasn't expecting this. It was only got £3.50. It's like fantastic.
There's
meanwhile his kids on a slide on fire or something. And it's just like,
that's a good burger.
That's a fucking good burger.
Stop, drop, and roll, son. More fries.
Even better. Like brings the burger over and like he warms it on the dying
char grillers. Yeah. My children are fine.
They have at the swimming pool down in town. They have a little burger stand attached to it, and it's a good burger too. So it tricks you into thinking that you can burn enough calories in the pool to justify that burger, but you never can. All right, what's your guys' ideal cheat day? Like, pretend for a second that you all have a strict workout regimen and you can work in a cheat day in your workout. What would be your ideal no one can judge you cheat day?
Lasagna.
Just
a lot of lasagna with a lot of cheese.
Okay,
Thick
Garfield.
fucking pasta. Do you know? No, Garfield is the reason I love lasagna. I used to read a lot of Garfield when I was young, and he went, "I always love lasagna. I ate lasagna. I like it now." That was the reason.
Can we get a drop of you saying thick fucking pasta? That would be so good. Come on, Chad. What's your ideal cheat day?
Well, I just one of our chat groups that some of us are in on Discord. I clued everybody in on a taco place that started in Austin, but is adding more locations around the country called Torchy's Tacos, and they specialize in like really over the top combinations of tacos. Like the tacos are so stuffed, it comes like if it's a corn tortilla or something. It'll come in two tortillas, and you could take the second tortilla and the fillings in the taco and make two full-size tacos out of it. It's like that's how big these are. Because someone else asked, it's like, how big are these tacos? Because I want like 5 of them. That's like, if you get more than 2, you will be in serious pain. And I say that from hard-learned experience. So any cheat day worth anything would include Torchy's tacos as part of the journey for me.
All right, Walt, what you got?
Give me a decent curry. It doesn't have to be anything ridiculously hot and spicy. I'm not, but just give me something, lamb rogan josh or something like that. Rice, naan bread, a couple of bottles of Cobra or Kingfisher or something like that. I'm a happy man.
What about you, Stars? I feel like we're opening a can of worm. We're going to you, but let's do it.
Oh god, it depends on the mood. I'm a suck really good pan fried salmon. Like just like with like a nice like covering on it, like a load of I think it's called like Dunn's River seasoning, side of duck fat roasted potatoes. Yeah.
That sounds so healthy, though.
I was gonna say that's.
Oh, it is.
Not to the potatoes.
It is. Believe me, it ain't.
No, he's
Salmon
talking
and
about
salad.
a side of salmon. He's talking about the whole salmon.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I ate that salmon, and then I ate all the roe from that salmon, and I ate those children's children.
I ate it. I ate into you. What are you talking about? I dabbed it up and
I wiped out an entire family tree of salmon in one sitting.
All right, let's see what Chad has given. Chad has given us cheese chips, chicken, lamb mix. I eat like a saint and work out all week so I can pig all weekend. Cheese crisps and chocolate are my downfall.
That's the pyramid.
Any kind of gourmet pancakes for breakfast, fajitas with all the toppings for lunch, and a massive plate of carbonara with cheesecake platter and ice cream for dessert.
This person knows what they're talking about. I racing liners, that is doing it right. From start to finish.
Carbonara is an easy one. I think it's as long as you know what you're doing, it's kind of hard to screw up. So
I'll make a good carbonara. Good carbonara.
Have you guys ever sat down at a restaurant, ordered something you know you love, and they bring it and they just did it horribly, and you're like, and your whole day is ruined?
Yeah. It's the worst.
Yeah.
Happens all the time with pizza. I usually do a shitty pizza.
A lot of places do.
Well, see, and the thing, and sometimes it's like you want the crap pizza. It's like you go to a place.
Sometimes.
Yeah, you get kebab shop pizza. That's, you know what you're getting there. That's just going to be grease and cheese.
Yeah.
I've had some really good kebab shop pizza. Sorry.
But then it's like they either do it better than you want it to be, or they manage to do it worse than they normally do it. So it's like you can't even get the bad pizza that you're there for in either direction. Yeah.
It's too good. Take it back.
Yeah.
If I want some truly kind of like, I know this is garbage pizza, but it hits the right spot, it's Pizza Hut for me, because they do the... last time I had Pizza Hut, which is good, probably about 2 or 3 years ago, they had the option to have like garlic sprinkles all over it, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I'll talk about the normal garlic, because you already asked for tons of
garlic. I heard sprinkles. I'm like, cupcake sprinkles on pizza? What?
No! That's the wrong taste palette. Get out of here. No. Garlic sprinkles, so it's like all over it. All right.
I'm sure that Otto has heard of this, but have any of the rest of you heard of CC's Pizza?
Oh, that's the name, but I don't know what it is.
You can have diarrhea for only $5.
Yeah. So here's the thing. CC's Pizza is a pizza buffet.
Okay.
And if you imagine like pizza toppings and sauce on cardboard, you're about
like school pizza.
You're about 75% of the way there. But it is unlimited. You can just eat. And it used to be like $5. It used to be like $4.99 or something like that. You would just eat yourself senseless of this. Like, okay, it's basically like if you had do you have an equivalent of like a Chuck E. Cheese or some like kids arcade thing that also serves pizza? It's like that's basically what it is. It's Chuck E. Cheese pizza, but a buffet, and it's just, you make up for quality in volume.
The place on the side of the road that you can always get, like the little like shitty restaurant. What's it called? You should know. You drive? No, it's like a really shitty chain of the awful restaurants that are always like by the side of the road.
Oh, Little Chef.
So one, yeah.
I know what you mean. Yeah, Little Chefs.
Are there any of them about anymore?
No, they all got turned into half Burger Kings and then sold off.
Or other adult shops on the A1.
Yeah. Who's right? We have this weird phenomenon in the middle of like one of the motorways. There will be an adult shop. Who drives to the middle of nowhere to buy a dildo? Like, you just order that shit online. Come on, there's some really lonely truck drivers out there.
Is that where you buy
Speaking of someone from Texas, quite a lot of people.
Okay,
because they don't want to.
That's Texas. Texas is the size of the UK.
What?
Like, this is, you're a stone's throw from like a pawn shop here. Come on.
But the other aspect of it is you don't want to buy it anywhere close to anyone that you might run into from your church that you go to on the corner or something. It's like, so you are willing to drive 200 miles.
You walk into an adult shop. Hey, you're right, Pete. What are you here for? Oh, I'm just here for my old sort of bit of nuns in the dirty. I was like, I'm just picking myself up some straps. Oh, fantastic. Well, I'll see you on Wednesday then. Yeah, see you.
All right, let's pivot away from this quickly. I know COVID has killed millions of people, but the worst thing it did was ruin buffets for everyone. Because I was also a Pizza Hut guy, and one thing Pizza Hut did right was their overly sugared marinara sauce. So I would take, the buffet, you put a few pieces of pizza on there, and then you take the scooper, the marinara scooper, and you just cover that fucker with as much marinara as the plate would handle. It's like flowing over the sides, and you have a race against time to get back to your seat before the marinara has overflowed on the plate, and then you just eat whatever's on the plate, and it's... Yes, I am a garbage raccoon, but I'm going to eat it all. I don't care.
I drink a nuclear reactor melting over, but it's marinara.
I miss Chinese buffets like anything. They used to do this one in Manchester. It used to be amazing. Like, used to do like steamed buns. Used to have the best sweet and sour sauce. Like, just going plate after plate after plate and just loading up and not giving a fuck about what everyone else is touching. And now everyone's, myself included, is just a bit like, I don't even like looking at the Morrison salad bar anymore. Like, it's terrible. I miss that.
Don't mention salad bars. Big is going to talk about that time he goes to a fucking barbecue place for the salad bar.
Did we do that?
It's a really fucking good salad bar.
It's burned into my memory. Sorry, Big. My opinion of you has sunk 3 notches since you said you went to a barbecue place for a salad bar.
Well, I got barbecue too, but I still had the salad bar. It was, an extra $4 and you get that on top. Actually, no, it's funny. I say that's a lie. I never got barbecue from that restaurant. I got other things. No, because they would have like no, they had like ribeyes and like they made a chicken fried chicken that was really good, and I would always find myself getting a real entree instead of getting the barbecue plate. Because this is kind of sacrilegious for me to say as a Texan, but I could kind of take or leave barbecue for the most part.
Wow.
I don't want people to come and get me, but it's like I don't know. It's just it's fine. I'll eat it. It's good, but it's just not something that I have ever really sought out. But that's I think that's the difference between maybe the UK, Europe, and America and the south of America anyways, that every buffet that was open before is back open again, and you can frequent it at your leisure. So
I want to shout out Galaxy Star Queen in chat. It says, I'm a Boston cream filled donut kind of person. I could eat them forever. I have one with me right now because we were in Mannheim yesterday.
That preserved donut. How long is that?
I know
in there?
It's in epoxy. No, we were there yesterday. That's all that's left from a 6-pack. And my wife freaks out whenever she sees Dunkin' Donuts, which is actually like good quality here in Germany because it's hard to find a good donut. So anyway, shout out to you. I actually have a Boston cream in my house.
I could murder a Krispy Kreme right about now.
Have I ever told you about my honeymoon barbecue? Have I ever said that one? So
I think so.
Went on. Me and wife got married. Obviously, we went on honeymoon. Obviously, we went to a place.
Slow down.
Sorry.
Slow down. I'm trying to piece this together.
Went to a place called La Gomera, which is a little island in the Canary Islands, and the place we were staying, we're having some building work done. So there's a lot of sort of hammering and.
Fuck it, I'm having this donut. Sorry, keep going.
Talking about it too much. I need some ASMR from you here. I want to hear that crunch. No, not enough.
Oh, baby.
Anyway, they were having loads of building work going on, so the owner came up and said, apologise. Twinkies. Jesus Christ, getting all the trash out now.
No food.
The owner apologised and said, as a thanks, for putting up with this, we're going to put on a free barbecue. Everyone can come and just help yourselves. We're going to put on this spread, and they put on a really good spread. Like they had a whole team of people cooking stuff. It wasn't just one guy on a barbecue just flipping sausages. No, this was like people doing tuna steaks. They were doing ribs. They were doing all sorts of different. There was a pretty posh salad bar big. It was pretty good. Lots of different toppings, and we're watching people go up, and this is quite a high-do place. Like my dad bought us the honeymoon, so he put a bit of money into it, and so it's just like people going up with their plate and just putting one thing on, then going back eating it and going to bed. And me and my wife, being the pigs that we are, we're like, well, okay, we'll have one, and then we'll sneak back round in the queue, and we'll go again. And by the time we got to the desserts, they thought we brought this whole sort of big piles of like different cakes and things, and people going up putting one cake on and sitting back down. And me and my wife was like, no, fuck that. There's one chance that we can get to eat this kind of nice food. So we put 3 or 4 cakes, and as we're walking back down the queue, people were looking at us going, they've got 3 or 4 on their plates. Can we do that? And I'm like, just fucking do it. It's free. And they're like, yeah, I'm doing that now.
You know what? I'm doing Idol. This, I don't know. I imagine this is a relatively famous movie. You know that bit in Mary Poppins when they go to the bank to see Mr. Banks, and they try to take the money out of the kid's hand. He's like, "Take my money!" And then they're like, "You see that? They're trying to take that child's money. Keep your mind out!" And then they cause like a financial collapse.
Yes, I've destroyed a small island in Tenerife.
Exactly.
Now, see, what I was thinking that it was like a Fellowship of the Ring situation. I was like, it comes in pints?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but what about second barbecue? Oh, I see we have Little Big.
Yeah, they've arrived.
They're back.
Bye.
I'm very jealous I don't have anything to stuff my face with, but then I've had my 4-course
It was
dinner.
such a good idea to come on the stream tonight. Thank you, guys.
Yes,
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, actually, it's like I had like 2 different, because I had the house to myself last night and this morning. It's like I had several opportunities to go out and go get some trash food to eat for some kind of meal, and I never did. And I've actually been on the straight and narrow this weekend, apart from anything like that. But
Mr. Ardbeg.
Yes, Mr. Ardbeg indeed. So it's making me twice as jealous that you guys have all this delicious trash to eat.
Okay, so Stars has promised that he's going to sample a few drinks I have around the house, and or bar and or cocktails we can make.
I'm gonna die.
He thinks I want to get him smashed. I don't. I just want to introduce him to the wonderful world of alcohol. So,
dude, I have no tolerance. I will die.
I know, it's gonna be great. So, you know how like when you try to show something funny to people and you just watch them and they don't laugh at all.
No, wait for it. It's coming. Just wait for it. Just any minute now.
Have you ever tried to introduce someone to some fantastic food or taken them to a restaurant you love and they're like, eh? Yeah.
So this is way back in the before times. This was oh god, this was like 2007-ish. There was this really nice little restaurant actually just around the corner from where I used to live. I can't remember what it used to be called, but they had like kind of a fancy name.
McDonald's.
I know.
Burger Prince.
They did a really delicious chicken burger. And I'm not usually a chicken burger kind of guy, but they did a really nice one. And I was like, I had a really good friend. Her name was Amber. And we were just like pretty good friends. Like we kind of just hung around. We weren't quite hipstery, but we were borderline. And I was
just
you know
imagine
what?
you with a top knot.
No, never quite that bad. I was like, you know what? I never get to see her outside of school. Let me invite her to this nice restaurant, and we'll have like a burger together as friends. Like, obviously, me being me. And I don't know if it was just like cursed or whatever, but I happened to pick the single busy day they had ever been there, and it took about 2 hours to get up burgers, and they weren't even that good. That one time I won, and so I wanted to introduce it, and it was just the most depressing experience of my entire life. Wanted to share this experience with a really good friend of mine, and then we were just sat in this loud restaurant, staring at each other like, I promise, I thought this was a good idea. I promise.
So we've established the most depressing day of your life includes a burger. Does the greatest day of your life also include a burger? Because I feel like there's a significant chance that it does.
I'm trying to remember what I had on the day Brady told me he loved me. No, it did not.
No, okay. There's a different kind of meat involved. Okay.
Hey man, I sample all the kinds. That same friend, incidentally, the one time she invited me over to her house, we watched the first Hangover movie, and I had the worst nosebleed of my entire life. So, I think meeting her outside of school was just cursed in some way. It just wasn't a great idea.
A sign to be.
Oh, a little
then
big.
You talk.
And now you talk. Ah, bless her.
Idle.
Go on.
Does Walt have the strongest Dune blue eyes right now?
Oh yeah, he is
On the spice.
flush with spice at the
Yeah.
moment.
Father, the sleeper.
The sleeper has awoken.
Quick, someone get Patrick Stewart in his pug. I watched that
Idle.
Leslie for Dune like for the first time about 5 or 6 years ago, and it's freaking awful. But the one thing that stood out to me was just
like it.
Yeah, it was just like, okay, Patrick Stewart's quite awesome in it, being Gurney, what's his name, but then all of a sudden,
Gurney
like
Halleck.
near the end of the film, he just turns up with a machine gun and a dog, and I'm just like, I have no context for this. What the fuck? And I'm just like, okay, I've kind of enjoyed this now, but no, it's a terribly bad film.
As if the remainder of the film had so much context to go with any of the things in it either.
Yeah.
So I think one Walt Koenig is tapping out. Is that right, Walt?
Yeah,
Oh,
I've
okay.
got to do my dutiful husband act and help my wife out with some stuff. So
It's been a pleasure playing with you.
Cheers,
on the
guys.
Bridge
Very
of the
much, Cameron.
Titanic. Sure.
Make us proud.
Yeah.
Catch you next time.
See you later, Walt.
Yeah.
Later. Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm just thinking about Dune again, and it's like that's one thing I was gonna say around bro because he apparently watched it a ton with his dad when he was growing up, and it's like all I had to say is the spice, and he just loses it every time. It's
Did
like
you watch
one
the
of my
new
favorite.
Dune film?
No, I haven't got around to it. I'll get around to it.
I watched it. It was okay. It seems like it's the amount of hype to. It's not like, it's massively hyped up and it's disappointing because it's visually and storytelling are very good, but it kind of ends very strangely. Like it's half a film, and I'm like, I need more now. And
Yes,
they
it
kind
is.
of did half a film without approving the other half as well, which is always risky, but hopefully it'll pay off. We'll see. Film talks.
Well,
That's
it's
another
just
one.
it's the big budget version of when you decide that we're at danger of being cancelled to put on a series finale so that you have with a
Yeah,
big
the fan
cliffhanger so you
campaign
have
comes
to get
out.
the second piece. It doesn't happen.
I think the thing that
That's
puts
all.
me off, and it's happened with other films as well, is always the big names that are in it, like Jason Momoa, like Oscar Isaacs, the guy that played Thanos. I forget his name now.
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin. And I'm looking at it and thinking, yes, you've got this actor here, and this actor here, and this actor here, and I'm looking at the actors and not the characters. Like, that kind of throws me out in certain ways. Like, I don't know. Like, I think there's a difference between, like, something like Benedict Cumberbatch does. He's Sherlock and he's also Doctor Strange. That kind of makes sense. But when you have, like, here's this big budget movie and it's got this actor and this actor and this, it's got Tom Cruise and Selma Hayek and it's got all these people. And I was like, yeah, who am I watching this for? Am I watching this for Dune or the actors? Like, I always find that a bit distracting.
I went to
Yeah, and it seems...
I went to apologize to my wife for eating the donut, and I told her I'd go in the morning and buy anything she wanted from the store before she left. And she's still laughing in the other room.
I ate your beans.
It was a risk, but it paid off.
Wow, it wasn't even your donut. That is.
I mean, we bought the 6-pack together, so it was our donut technically.
It was a joint decision.
I'm not that brave. If there's something with her name on it in the fridge, I would not touch that. I'd be in serious trouble. Like, emotional damage.
Well, she's already made 4 different desserts today.
Oh, well,
3 of them are still on the stovetop, so yeah, we're set for a while.
Yeah. As to film stuff, like, yeah, I generally find that you can do some really strong stuff if you cast unknown or lower level sort of names, like, because more often than not, they're gonna be as well of a job. More often than not, it's just a flex.
I think Lord of the Rings was a good example of that. Like, obviously, apart from Ian McKellen as Gandalf, because that just made sense. A lot of the actors in that at the time were not no-namers, but were sort of lower level. Even Sean Bean had been in Bond and Sharp, and not a lot of other people knew him from other stuff. That was kind of one of the films that made people go and watch Bond and Sharp, I think. But yeah, that showed off like a lot of sort of unknown actors' talents from local areas. Well, this is a dull conversation. Let's talk about food. So I'm going to be analytical about films now.
Well, no, I mean, I was going to say it's like it seems like that kind of comes and goes, the stunt casting of the big actors, because it seems like that was a thing that happened a lot more often in the 80s and the 90s, that there were just 12 people that were in every movie, and then it seems like it may have branched out.
Is it Schwarzenegger?
You'd come back around. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I would watch all of those. So.
Yeah, and have on multiple occasions. But, and then you get back around to like your Ocean's 11, where it's, very obviously stunt casting of just big names and stuff. So I think it's a tide. It kind of rolls in and out.
Dude, the last 2 movies I watched were Bloodsport and Top Gun, so I'm still stuck in the 80s,
Can I address your huge crime, though, with this? Your huge crime is you've not watched Commando, and you still, after me berating you about this, have not watched Commando.
It's coming. I'm going to save that for when Stars visits. We'll watch, because one of the foods on the list is deep dish Chicago-style pizza with layer after layer after layer. We're going to eat that while watching Commando.
Yes.
And belts will be unbuckled, and we're going to lay there and moan by the end of it. So, don't clip that, you sons of bitches.
Yes. And then they'll eat the pizza.
Yay.
What was the last movie you guys watched? I'm curious.
The last movie
that you hadn't seen before. I'll qualify that you hadn't seen before.
Air Bud 2.
Okay. Well, see, it's like I have kids, so you're gonna watch movies that they want to watch before you watch movies that you want to watch. So the last thing I saw was Turning Red, the Pixar movie.
I have just watched that as well. That was okay.
Yeah.
Not including
the last movie.
Yeah.
The last movie that I saw for me was
Frozen.
Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Okay, the last film that I watched, I don't spreadsheet the stuff. I have a log on my
you're looking up at the side.
You are a lying liar that lies liefully. You are looking at your personal spreadsheet of this right now. I guarantee.
I use a thing called Plex, and it keeps a log of what I've watched. But the last thing I actually watched Jackass Forever the other day, literally quite recently.
Wow,
that is a blast from the past. That was, I'd forgotten how funny Jackass is.
It's a formula. It works.
But apart from that, Turning Red was probably the last film that I watched, which,
I think the last film I watched would have probably been there was Encanto, which was alright.
Yeah. Did you find that film made no sense? Like,
I
what
thought
was
it made sense.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there was like all of a sudden, so like she could heal a house and she had magic, but there was just like why, and there was like because. All right.
I think that might be Down syndrome. I don't think you were dialed in.
There you
are. Before that, it would have been Moonlight, which is an amazing movie.
Dude, if there's a sentence that could sum up my entire life, it would be, I don't think you're dialed in.
You haven't got your fingers to the pulse, man.
Chad has given us The Adam Project, the new West Side Story. What else you guys out there watching?
I tell you what, I watched Batman for out of curiosity to remember how bad it was. I watched Batman Forever the other day with
not Batman and Robin, no.
No, Batman Forever with Val Kilmer and Riddler and Two-Face. It's fucking awful. That film is
here's the thing. Because people think, like Batman and Batman Returns, those are the good ones, and that Batman Forever is the okay one, and then Batman and Robin is the awful one. Batman Forever is way worse than you remember it.
So bad. Nicole Kidman,
especially
just all of a sudden, just kind of goes, "I'm in love with Batman," and just like appears in lingerie on a rooftop for no real reason, rather than the fact she must be fucking freezing, and he's just like,
well, he's Iceman, so
no, Batman and Robin. Batman and Robin has one thing going for it, and that is the awesome Arnold Schwarzenegger. Every line he says is pure campy gold, and I love it. Never mind the rest of it. But no, it's just objectively awful.
To see you.
Dude, a few weeks ago, I brought up Expendables as like a comp to the Magnificent Ferengi, and Shiaporn calls me out in chat as being for daring to reference Expendables. I'm like, I'm sorry, I like a little camp now and then. It's not like the Magnificent Ferengi is some like great artwork that we need to hold up to the classics.
Like, what the hell, man? That's fun. Recently I got way big into kaiju movies, so I watched all the Godzillas from 1954 to 1975.
Wow, I have a lot of those actually somewhere.
Some of those are real fucking good, actually. Godzilla vs. Godzilla is fucking hype. And then I watched the 90s Gamera trilogy, which is actually surprisingly amazing.
Didn't even know there was one.
Dude. Actually, like, no joke, kind of amazing.
I need to find out if I have that.
And then there's a fourth movie, which was released in like 2003, and it's a kid's movie, but it's actually surprisingly kind of emotional at the end. I don't usually get emotional at kids' movies because it's like I'm just like not that age group anymore. But like, there's this moment where they have to get a thing to Gamera, who's getting his ass fucking beaten by the other monster. So, and there's this section where like they have to get all the way across the city, and it's like, well, the entire thing's fucked. Everything's like exploding, whatever. And they just daisy chain this thing through kids because the kids just know Gamera needs help. Because Gamera is like the kids monster who always protects children, and they just no, Gamera needs this, and you just get this like montage of all the kids handing it off, and I just got really emotional for no reason. I was just like, this is really emotional. I don't know.
Did you watch the new Godzilla vs. Kong?
I did. It was actually pretty decent. The plot was absolute nonsense, and I still think King of the Monsters is a bit stronger, but Godzilla vs. Kong has some really good stuff in it.
I really like when there's a movie that has such a massive, gigantic, obvious hole. Like the plot could be total garbage, or they pick awful casting, but you enjoy it anyway. Those are my favorite kind of movies, where there's something so awful, yet the movie redeems itself anyway. It's like, all right, I can get on board with that.
Hey, let me tell you about Commando. That's pretty much the definition of this is fucking awful, but I'm really enjoying it.
That was Bloodsport, because I've not seen a lot of Jean-Claude, but like Jean-Claude, if that's any indication, is a garbage actor, but I still like the movie. So
yeah,
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
No, that's the best movie he was in. It's like, it was
Hey, come on, Street Fighter.
I'm not joking.
I was gonna say Street Fighter. You don't have time for Raul Julia.
Yeah, that's a different thing. Well, it's like it's Bloodsport, Universal Soldier, and then like everything else is garbage. Like everything else is garbage, and I love all that garbage. That's my garbage, but it's garbage. And but no, the funny thing is the about a Bloodsport is the whole thing is just based on a guy that made up the story because it's like it's like the guy Frank Dukes is just like a total sham con artist guy that's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm also a karate master in this secret tournament that nobody knows about. And it's like, I'm trying to think, it's the guy that makes up his own autobiography or something, and then they made it into a movie. So that on top of everything else is what makes Bloodsport amazing.
All right, let's pull back a second from the testosterone. What's the best thing that your spouse or significant other has made you watch that you thought you would hate, but then you're like, all right, this actually is not bad?
Clue. 1980s Clue. I had never seen it before. I had no intention of watching it. And then he was like, no, seriously, you especially living fuck out of this. And then for about an hour and a half, I just died of laughter. Every single joke just hit perfectly. And I was just like, this is one of the funniest movies I've ever fucking seen. So good.
Okay, I have to say, when I first met my wife before we were married, she was big into sort of Led Zeppelin, classic rock, and things like that. And she introduced me to the awesomeness that is Tommy and Quadrophenia, the Who films as well, and sort of like a lot of those early rock classic films that actually turned out to be really good. I was a bit first like, it's just some rock films. Actually, they're really good, especially Tommy. Tommy is pretty much an artistic masterpiece. But
let's see, my wife was very into, and still is, Call the Midwife. And
it's actually surprisingly good. It's surprisingly
good show. Yeah.
The one set on Christmas where your baby in that bag has died is the saddest thing, and then it turns out it's alive. You're like,
yeah.
And in context, that sounds horrifying, but in the moment,
pretty much any media where you can exclaim the phrase "what a scoundrel" and mean it like sincerely is like good quality television. You're like, that hoodlum, how dare he? It's like, all right, you're really getting into it now.
That beast, how could... What about you, Otto?
I don't know. It's actually a hard one to think about. That's why I ask you guys. I've always been fine with like home and garden shows and this and that, but she introduced me to Monty Don, who you guys might know as the famous British gardener. And he's made like 14 different TV series, most of them pretty short. And we're working our way through all of them. And so, I'll kick back with a beer and learn about the English cottage gardens or like stuff in Italy that I can't even pronounce.
I wish that show was more realistic.
This is good television.
I wish it's more realistic because, like, here is my piece of paving slab outside the back of my garden where I'm growing a half-ass grape up the side of the wall and 2 geraniums that are struggling to live. Like, I put some shit on them, man. There we go. But it's my piece of paradise.
Yeah, and then Monty shows up in his suspenders, and like 30 minutes later, it's like this lush garden that you can tell was not. Yeah.
Okay, so this is pretty much a wild tangent, but I'm thinking about TV now. So I'm not a massive follower of the Gordon Ramsay shows, all the Hell's Kitchen and whatever. But
you fucking donkey!
There is one episode. You kind of is, Shrek. There is one episode of it. If you ever want to see what unbridled insanity and actual delusion looks like, it's called Amy's Baking Company.
And I think I've heard of this.
Dude, I was like, this sounds really interesting, and I watched it, and I just could not believe the actual disconnect from reality. Like, I thought I was ready to pull out the not killing people. It was so weird. Wow. But if you want reality television dialed up like 50 billion so that you get your shot for like the month or the year. That's recommend because it's like, ooh boy.
I feel like every time I look at Idol's face, I see a little bit of tinge of regret that he's named this the Chilled Out Trek Show instead of like just the Chilled Out Show.
It's fine. We've had our massive Trek moment, and it was in the early part. We can talk bollocks now.
Sure.
That's what we're here for.
Okay, so I've got one for you. Most expected place you found a Trek actor, and I've got one right out of the gate. So, do you know that song "Word Up"?
Word Up.
Cameo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
LeVar Burton.
LeVar Burton is in the music video as like a police, and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing in it?" It's like I was looking at the dates, like this is like 1 year before TNG. This is so weird to me.
Cameo! Don't even think about it. That's his line. He's like a detective or.
Yeah,
like,
he's on the
police
loudspeaker to
officer.
them as if they're like about to start a riot. It's so fucking nuts. It's so
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Shatner was a cop?
Oh, TJ Hooker. Yeah.
DJ Hooker. Shatner had quite a lot of Trek cast in it.
I will actually say my daughters have caught up on and I've mentioned this before, all the old mid 2000s Nickelodeon shows, and Tim Russ is principal in iCarly, and every time he shows up on screen, it is a delight. Because he's not Tuvok at all. He's a totally different character. It's like behaves like a human, and you see more of like, oh, this is what I assumed Tim Russ would actually be like in real life, and it's.
He was in a series that got cancelled called, I think it was Man Thing, or no, Swamp Thing, that was on CW at one point. And yeah, he was like the scientist guy and that. And my wife hates it. She hates it when I'm sitting there watching telly with her, and I just point and goes, oh, it's so and so from that thing there, and oh, and that's him from that. And she goes, oh, please just stop knowing so much about different people in different shows. I'm like, I can't help it. They're all in Star Trek.
It's the way my brain is wired.
Oh, look, it's Brent Spiner in Independence Day. Oh shit.
So awful in that. He's so over the top, and not even really in a fun way. He's just bad.
Okay, I mean, Ronaldo has the definitive answer. It's like it's the Gargoyles Disney series.
Yes.
I mean, that's
Riker is the bad guy, and it's kind of amazing at being the bad guy. He's really nuts,
dude. Frakes in. What is it? You all know that memeable series. Nope, not this time.
Oh, Beyond Belief.
Fiction.
Beyond Belief. Dude, that one still throws me for a curve. My brain cannot comprehend that it's not actually Riker pretending to be someone else acting in that episode or in the.
Friendly reminder: if you want to laugh, have you ever had the urge to write your name in wet cement?
You do a really good 0.75 speed, you know?
Yeah, exactly right.
No, there's your fan casting. It's like, yeah, I can do a great Patrick Stewart at double speed.
Captain Jean-Luc of the USS Enterprise.
Have you noticed how many restaurants these days are steam-based?
All right, so
you display this as a trophy.
I watched way too much of that.
Every time I'm in a bad mood, it cheers beyond belief.
All right, I won't say it was
gone mountain biking.
My face hurts.
Dude, shut up for a second. All right, what's Chad got for us? Robert Duncan McNeil in Masters of the Universe, Santiago Cabrera in Sir Lancelot. Alexander Siddig in
Game of Thrones. He's in that one as well.
I won't say it was unexpected because I did seek it out, but George Takei in the old Twilight Zone. It was actually, I think they took it off air in a lot of cases because it deals with racism. But I went back and found a copy and I watched it, and so it was actually unexpected that I'm like, whoa, this dude has acting range. I'm like, how come we never got to see that in Star Trek?
Yeah.
There was someone going on a theory that we might see Sulu in Picard, and I'm just like, how? I'm reading these theories, like you're going to see him as like
I think you're too
Admiral.
deep down the rabbit hole at that point.
Yeah.
He'd be what, 200?
Well, you know.
Oh, okay. All right. It's another classic example, but Brent Spiner in Night Court, the character that. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, no, it's like he plays like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like he was a recurring character. He was on it probably at least a half a dozen times, maybe more, as that country bumpkin character is like, and he sells the hell out of it, and it's great. And Brent Spiner is great in almost everything he does, and it bears repeating.
Not Independence Day. Not good enough.
Yeah, that's kind of just an animal, but yeah.
Well, guys, on.
Hold on. Here's one more. Mistress Ariel from Angel One, who played Bonnie in Knight Rider. Of course, I had seen all of TNG before going back to watch Knight Rider, which I enjoyed more than I should. That's like my guilty pleasure show. But I went back and watched. I'm like, whoa, she's really familiar. And then it clicked. Once I saw her like with big hair, I'm like, hey, it's Star Trek. So there you go.
On that note, I'm gonna have to stop before my cough ends up killing me, and I have to just end up in a heap on the floor, just coughing my guts up. Guys, thank you for coming and doing some chatting Trek and food with us. We're gonna, like you said, I'm gonna have to rename this to the Chilled Out Food and Trek Show, because that's what we talk about. At some point we'll be like, so what did you eat today? Oh well. For everyone interested, timelines.
Streaming live from my bathroom.
Find out what I had next week. Yes, we'll be back on Wednesday for Timeless Talks, and on Sunday, the charity show, where, yes, as we mentioned earlier, we will have Noah A.K. himself coming and doing an interview, along with many other things, including table reads with Shire. We've got we've got Trek trivia, we've got the WRG guys coming back, we've lots of giveaways, lots of Danish girls, lots of fun. So come back for that on Sunday. All the schedules on our Discord. Go and check out the events. But yes, thank you everyone for coming to chat. It's been good fun chatting to you all. It's been good fun.
Before we finish though,
go on.
You ever had your hearing tested lately?
I'm going to need to record those and get those as triggers now, I think.
I'll do the entire thing if you want.
Right. On that note, we will see you on Wednesday. Ta-ra!